Episode 101. You couldn't sleep because you missed Mr. Benezzo so much, didn't you? Sylvia wanted to cry. Why on earth would she eat sour grapefruits? Brother, tell me, were you adopted? She asked. No, I'm our mother's son. You're adopted, he replied. Sylvia shook her head and said, all right, since you won't be nice to me, I'll go to Rill. She's such a good person. She'll definitely look after me. Her brother was mean to her, so she decided to count on her future sister-in-law. Rill is years younger than you. How can you ask her to look after you? You should be looking after her, Aaron said as he sat on the couch mercilessly as usual. Sylvia clenched her teeth. Her brother not only refused to offer her peeled fruits, but also reminded her of her age. She still remembered that not that long ago she saw Rill as an older sister. You should go ask Jeremy to take good care of you, said Aaron blandly. You have a fiancé. Hearing Jamie's name, Sylvia abruptly frowned, seeming a little upset. We haven't talked much recently. Every time I've contacted him, he has told me that he has something to do. Is he really busy? Are you two in touch? I don't know. I'm busy dating these days. I don't have the time for him. After saying that, Aaron received his little sister's sad stare. He felt a little guilty, so he added, Jeremy often needs to carry out missions. Of course he's busy. It's normal that he can't reach out to his family and friends sometimes. Have you forgotten that I used to be the same? You're right, but I always feel uneasy. Sylvia drew her knees up to her chest and rested her chin on it, then said, Brother, I want you to find your happy life as soon as possible. As for the past, no one can mention what has happened in the past happily. I think it's a good thing. While speaking, Aaron lowered his head and picked up the knife to cut a grapefruit. At that point, Sister Emily came over with a plate of washed fruits. Seeing Aaron cutting the grapefruit, she hurriedly said, Young master, you can't peel grapefruits like that. Let me do it. No, I need to do it myself. Aaron refused her. He had promised April, and he intended to keep his words. Sylvia ate some grapes, then took out her phone, took a picture of her brother, and posted it on WeChat. At 3 o'clock at night, April got up to go to the bathroom. Back in bed, she picked up her phone to check her WeChat. Soon she found Sylvia's newest post. My handsome brother is staying up to peel fruits for me. Happy. In the picture she posted, Aaron was peeling grapes earnestly, looking very elegant. April noticed that he was still wearing the same clothes that she saw earlier tonight, which meant he started peeling fruits once he was back home. Under Sylvia's post, Aaron replied, You're dreaming. Go back to bed. Reading that, April smiled. Sometimes it was warm and sweet to have a brother or a sister to squabble with. But then she realized that she might really need to French kiss Aaron tomorrow. Thinking about that, she immediately pulled up her blanket to cover her burning face. She couldn't sleep. The next morning she woke up with a pair of dark circles under her eyes. Seeing her face, Winnie laughed at her and said, You didn't fail to fall asleep because you missed Mr. Bennet too much, did you? April blushed and said, No, I just had insomnia. Winnie nodded, then responded with, I understand. When I was passionately in love, I couldn't sleep either. April didn't say anything. Instead, she walked towards the bathroom. Before she got to the bathroom, her phone rang. She turned back to check her phone, then gave a start. She nearly threw the phone out as if her hand was burned by it. Why didn't you answer it? Is it Mr. Bennet? Winnie asked smilingly. April hurriedly walked out of the building with her phone in her hands. Aaron, have you had breakfast yet? Aaron never expected Aaron to have such a nice ring to it. The words were sweet, like a melody coming from April. I finished peeling all the fruits you wanted. 3 bowls of them. I'm bringing them to you right now. April said, I'm going to the canteen for breakfast, and then I'll have to rush to my classes. Why are you so free anyway? Don't you have lots of things to do at the company? Nothing is more important than kissing you. April remained silent. Even if you come right now, I won't have much time to spend with you. True. We're going to have to take a while if we're planning to French kiss. Good thinking, Aaron said. April was baffled. She had just buried herself in a hole that she dug. I'll come over at around 11 a.m. then when your class ends, Aaron said. Can't keep the fruits for too long. They won't be fresh anymore. April was speechless. Was he really in such a hurry because of the freshness of the fruits? All right, we've got ourselves a deal. See you later. Just like that, April spent most of her morning in a daze. At 11 o'clock, when the bell rang, she received a call from Aaron almost immediately. I'm parked along the lakeside in the school campus. Hurry along. Okay. He was really in such a hurry. April packed up her stuff and stood up from her seat. Suddenly, Professor Sandler called out to her. April, come here for a while. April walked over curiously and he said, "I've discussed things with the school dean. Our faculty is planning to have a short skit during the Christmas gala, and we're going to have to choose 6 persons. You're going to be part of it along with Serena Reinhardt, Julia Moore, and a couple of others. Do get in touch with them later, and you'll be in charge of arranging and directing the project. I'm entrusting the project to you since you're a mature and reliable student. Don't disappoint me. I've got high hopes for you. All the best with the skit. It'll be good if it was an original piece." "Thanks, Professor Sandler." April nodded her head with determination. Forget about dating Aaron in her free time. Looks like she would have a busy schedule for a while. She was grateful for the opportunity that Professor Sandler offered her. 10 minutes later, she arrived by the lakeside and got into Aaron's car. Aaron had an annoyed look on his face. "It takes at most 8 minutes for you to get here from Professor's class. It took you a total of 10 minutes. Professor helped me back after class to talk about something." "Again with the professors. Why do you have so many things on your plate?" Aaron expressed his doubts. "I have no choice. I'm a superstar in my faculty." April briefly told him what Professor Sandler offered her earlier. "I didn't expect him to entrust me with this short skit as well." "He has a good taste, I tell you. You're my woman, after all. You're extraordinary." Aaron was brimming with pride. April nearly burst out into laughter. "But this means that I won't have much spare time to spend with you." April frowned instantly. "Never mind, I understand. It's my fault for dating a student. I don't want to get in the way of your studies." "You understand?" April was extremely relieved. Although he was bossy, he was still reasonable. "Yes, lots of girls chased after me when I was studying abroad. It was quite annoying when they disrupted my studying time. I was so close to giving them the royal ditch to wake them up." What an unfeeling man. Episode 102. "I won't take advantage of you. I'll wear swimming trunks for you. But you need to spend time with me next winter vacation. You're not going back to Lukesville anyway. Let's go to the seaside. You should get some rest as you've been studying really, really hard," Aaron said excitedly. "And you can wear bikinis for me." "Bikinis? That was your goal, wasn't it?" April asked. "I won't take advantage of you. I'll wear swimming trunks for you," he said. "Who wants to see you in swimming trunks?" "I don't want to visit the seaside," she said. "I want to go somewhere colder to make a snowman." "I don't like cold places," he frowned and said honestly. "You'll be wearing a lot of clothes." If she wore too many clothes, something might not be able to happen naturally. Besides, it would take extra effort for him to remove her clothes. April rolled her eyes. "Enough about that. I've peeled the fruits you wanted." Aaron took out the fruits from the small fridge and said, "I peeled them all. Look, my fingernails have even changed color." April held his slender fingers and gave them a closer look, then admired that he did try hard for a French kiss. "Stop looking at my fingers. You should do what you promised me." Aaron put the fruits aside and dragged her into his arms. Without giving her a chance to speak, he pressed his lips against hers. April widened her eyes to glance around and saw that the students passing by were all looking at this eye-catching off-road vehicle. The red-faced April pushed him away and said, "This is my school. Can't you wait for a second?" "No. Don't be nervous. They can't see us from the outside." Without allowing her to say another word, he opened her mouth with his tongue passionately. He didn't know what she ate, but she smelled like mint. Her smell stimulated him, urging him to sweep across her mouth. He kissed her so hard that she couldn't even maintain her breathing. April was nervous and shy. She couldn't even think when she was being kissed by him like that. Without knowing how, she put her arms around his neck to respond to him. He kissed her like a thunderstorm while she kissed him back like a drizzle. However, he still felt her, so he slowed down. In this long kiss, they chased each other and played. Their breaths were disordered. April couldn't tell how long the kiss had lasted when she felt a hand on her chest, which was slightly cold. She quivered, then hurriedly pushed him away. After that, he took his hand out of her shirt. "You can't do that." Her face turned rosy with anger. Aaron fixed his eyes on her red lips, but after all, he wasn't an unreasonable man. He understood that he might have frightened her, so he apologized sincerely. "I'm sorry." April paused for a second as he hardly apologized without arguing. You can't do that without my permission again," she said. She didn't understand why he grabbed her so hard. He even hurt her a little just now. "When can I do that?" Aaron asked. "How about I peel you fruits every day?" "In your dreams." April glared at him and responded with, "Because you just did it without my permission, you need to prepare me 2 bowls of grapes and a bowl of grapefruit like today every time you want to kiss me." "Apricot." You can't be this cruel." He pulled a long face and said, "How is this cruel? I used to peel fruits for you every day. I told you my fingers hurt, and you said that I was pretending and that I was lazy," April said. "But of course you can refuse to do it. The worst result is that you just don't get to kiss me anymore. It'll be my decision to make anyway." "Fine." Aaron gritted his teeth, pulled out his phone and dialed Marvin's number. "Now go get me grapes and plums of 15 kilograms each, as well as 100 kilograms worth of pomelos. Put them in my office." Marvin was shell-shocked. "Mr. Bennett, what are you going to do with so many grapes and plums? Are you giving them out to the workers? I don't recall any upcoming events." "No, just leave them in my office." Aaron hung up and smirked at April. "I'm going to peel 10 bowls at one go. I'm going to kiss you for half an hour straight. That'll surely take your breath away." She regretted what she had said. This man obviously wasn't a normal person. It's not appropriate for a CEO to be peeling fruits in his office all day long. "Won't matter. No one knows what I'm up to in the office once I shut the door anyway." Aaron glanced at his watch. "Let's go eat first." "Let's eat around here. I have a meeting with the project members of the short skit later at 2 p.m. I know an eatery around here with decent food," April said. "Did they get an A from the Agri-Food Authority?" Aaron asked. April had nothing to say. She didn't pay much attention to hygiene ratings. "Judging from your response, they must have been certified with a B. Never mind, I shall make an exception for you and compromise on my hygiene standards. I'm thinking of opening a restaurant around here. Should I ask Marvin to proceed with the execution? We'll be hanging around here much more often now." Aaron sighed. April was feeling anxious. She wasn't used to the world he lived in all his life. "I don't think that will be necessary. I'm graduating next year after all. Marvin must be busy too. You have all sorts of funny tasks lined up for him. That's why he's still single." "True. He hasn't managed to win Winnie's heart." "He doesn't even have the chance to win her heart. He is always at your beck and call," April thought. After 10 minutes, they arrived at the eatery that April was referring to. April ordered most of the dishes. When the waiter excused himself, April's phone rang. She looked down at the caller ID and her face dropped, and she immediately declined the call. "What's the matter? Is that the guy who was harassing you last night?" Aaron asked with concern. "No, it's just some tele-advisor. I could tell by the first digits of their number," April said as she proceeded to block the number. She swiftly changed the topic. "Marianne's birthday is in the first week of next month. She's going to hold a birthday party for all her close friends and relatives. Are you going to be there? I don't really talk to her side of the family. Sylvia, on the other hand, is quite close to them. She should be attending the party." Aaron paused before a grin crept onto his face. "But if you want to go, I can accompany you there just for you. I'll have to make some arrangements, though." "It's up to you," April laughed. When Isaac redialed her number, he was put through the service provider. He was blocked. When he considered the possibility that April blocked his number, he clenched his phone lightly in his grasp. Soon he broke into a smile. He thought that April was merely throwing a tantrum over the loss of Richard and would come crawling back to him in no time. Clark entered the room after receiving the call. "I've got news. The web drama that producer Sullivan is doing was approved at the assessment. It will be screening tomorrow." Isaac turned his head violently. "What did you say?" Clark sighed. "I asked around. Richard's been using his connections. Mr. Davidson, the online provider, was also in a conundrum. Too bad." Episode 103. Are you aware that I have a girlfriend now? Before he finished, Isaac threw his phone at the wall. Crack! The phone fell apart. "Remember that video site? From now on, all our movies and series won't be on that site. And for all crews that want to film in our movie and television base, we're going to tell them that they aren't allowed to air their works on that website." Clark frowned and said, "Calm down, you'll be challenging Richard." "I might have been afraid of him a year ago, but now I'm not." Isaac smiled coldly. "The Jones family never touched the film and television industry. I'm holding the advantage here. I'm just surprised that he's still willing to help April after yesterday. Seems that April explained her situation to him." "Then what should we do?" Clark said helplessly. "I say we should let it go." "Let it go?" Isaac didn't respond, but Rosaria, who stood beside him, did. "How can we possibly let it go? Isaac loves her so much," she said. "Earlier at a party, I met a girl who was recently signed by Star Music and Culture. Her name is Marianne, and she's April's roommate. She'll celebrate her birthday at the beginning of next month, and she's invited me to her birthday party." Isaac narrowed his eyes and looked at Rosaria. Rosaria smiled and continued, Marianne has a good background. I heard that her aunt is the chairman of YCC Corporation. Her parents are working at the YCC group too, so I think some high-class people will attend that party. And I think as her friend, April will go too. Isaac, would you like to go with me? Sure, we have to go, said Isaac. But don't accept Marianne's invitation now. The night before her birthday, you will tell her that you have the time. Otherwise, April might refuse to attend the party if she hears that I'm going. Sure. Rosaria nodded with a meaningful smile. After returning to school, April got a call from Supervisor Sullivan at about 3 o'clock. The latter told her that the online series had passed the censorship but will air on another video site. April thought for a moment, then asked Sylvia for Richard's number. She didn't ask Aaron for it because he was terribly imaginative. She called Richard to say thank you. Mr. Jones, apart from the online series, I also need to thank you for not telling Mr. Bennett about my past. That doesn't mean you can keep it a secret for him for long, Richard responded blandly. I've asked Max about what happened yesterday. You didn't lie. Isaac pulled you, and then you fell on him. You should stay away from him. What he did was awful. After all, you were his fiancée. He has earned his place in the film and television circle during the past few years. I thought it'd be easy to solve your problem, but in the end, I've spent quite some effort on it. Mostly because of the movie and television base he developed. Many people aren't willing to offend him. I get it, said April. After the call, Richard walked directly to the CEO's office. He didn't knock on the door, but walked straight in. The office was filled with the aroma of grapefruits. Aaron was sitting in his armchair, slowly peeling a grapefruit with both hands, with 2 computers on the table. From time to time, he would glance at the 2 computers to check the stock market and the futures market. This scene in his office was extremely rare and weird. Richard's mouth twitched slightly, then he said, Sylvia said that real... Before finishing his sentence, he paused hurriedly. Real what? Aaron frowned and said, Can't you knock on the door before coming in? Are you aware that I now have a girlfriend? All right, my bad. Previous time, will you please let me go? Richard felt the urge to tease Aaron further. What has this got to do with you having a girlfriend? This is not your bedroom, after all. Of course it is related, Aaron smirked. If April decides to come here one day to make out, I can't allow you to barge in like this. She will be extremely embarrassed, my prideful woman. Richard was speechless. His brother was being delusional again, living in his own imagination. Richard thought about Aaron's reaction if he ever found out about Isaac and April's relationship. He would probably be hopping mad. Are you serious? I am serious about everything under the sun. Aaron proceeded to peel another pomelo and remove its seeds. His hands were burning from all the fruits that he had already peeled. April was right. He did mistreat her previously. Oh, Richard looked hesitant. Did you know if April had an ex-boyfriend? Not sure. Aaron paused before reassuring himself. Judging by her innocent looks, I must be her first. Innocent. Look who's the innocent one here, Richard thought. He had no heart to tease him further. What if she did? Have an ex-boyfriend? Aaron raised his head to meet Richard's gaze. He pictured April's supple lips kissing another man and shrugged in anger. If she did, he'd better not show up in front of me. Why are you asking about this anyway? What do you know? Nothing. What do I know? Richard stood up guiltily. He wasn't sure how violently Aaron would react to this piece of news. If I told him that April had an ex-boyfriend, an ex-fiancé, that is, he'd probably take all his anger out on me. That'd be a terrifying experience, Richard thought. I got an appointment I forgot about. I'm going to take my leave. You carry on. Richard slipped out of the office quickly. Aaron narrowed his eyes before turning his attention back on the fruits in front of him. He had more free time nowadays to peel more bowls of fruit for April. When she was done with whatever she was busy with, he would claim all the hours at once, kissing her lips till it swelled. In the next couple of days, April spent most of her time on the short skit. She appointed the talented director Charles as the creative director, and he drafted the skeleton of the storyline. The 6 of them met often to fine-tune the details of the plot, and they took an entire week to finalize the script. On Saturday night, Aaron delivered supper to her and read the script that she brought along with her. He chuckled coldly. Youths, even your script is all about love and boy-girl relationships. How childish. April munched on the loquat cake that he brought and looked up at him incredulously. What's wrong with boy-girl relationships? Aren't you having a relationship with me right now? You're childish, too. I think you should focus more on family relationships. Aaron pointed at the manuscript. The script is filled with hugs and kisses, baby and honey nicknames for each other. It doesn't reflect well on you guys. Hey, you're only 29 years old, okay? You're not 49 years old, April reminded him. It's normal for couples to call each other baby and honey. I can call you that, and you can call me that as well, but I won't allow anyone else to call you baby. Aaron pointed at the script and insisted, You're only allowed to act as the male lead's father in this skit. Episode 104. I have never seen a jealous man like you. April didn't know what to say. Aaron was talking in a bossy tone, and April was a little muddled in the head. Stop joking. His father is a male role. Isn't cross-gender performance a good thing to do? The problem is his father is in his 40s. I believe in your acting skills. You can do it effortlessly. Aaron took out another piece of loquat cake and handed it to April. Eat more if you like it. It's not about if I can do it effortlessly or not, okay? She wanted to throw the cake at Aaron's face. I can't promise you that. The show will be performed by 3 boys and 3 girls, and there will be 3 male characters and 3 female characters in it. You suddenly asked me to play a middle-aged man. Well, I'm actually fine with it, but it means a boy among us would have to play a 20-year-old girl. No one would agree to that. Aaron knitted his brows and said, I don't think so. I think the cross-gender performance will certainly make your show the biggest surprise of the night. You should talk to them. I wouldn't want you to miss such a good opportunity of getting more attention because of some unimportant reason. April rolled her eyes. She didn't even want to continue the conversation. Surprise? How can you even say that? I've never seen a man as jealous as you. April was tired of arguing with him, so she quickly nodded. I can do whatever I want. He won't be there anyway. I've talked to your president. I'll be there at the Christmas gala, too. I'll be sitting in the middle of the first row. You should do your best. I look forward to your cross-gender performance, said Aaron. After he finished talking, he rubbed April's head. Then he felt it wasn't enough, so he kissed her lips and tasted loquat mixed with sweet cream. April paused briefly and then said, I don't think it's necessary for you to come, as you're not from the film and television industry. So do you want me to be alone on Christmas? Aaron pulled a long face and stared at her with discontent. Like you ever celebrated Christmas with a girlfriend before? April murmured with a low voice. Of course not. I was single before, so I didn't care. But now I suddenly want to be with my girlfriend on Christmas. Sometimes when I see other couples when I'm alone, I want very much to tear them apart, responded Aaron. How awful. April didn't know what to say. Aaron looked at her pitifully, reminding her of abandoned poor little puppies. She really didn't have the heart to say no to him. The next day, when allocating roles, April suggested a cross-gender performance. A boy immediately laughed and rejected her. Cross-gender? Are you joking? It may draw us attention, but people will only notice us because they think it's ridiculous. Yeah, April, your idea is ridiculous, said a girl named Yasmin Taylor. Mr. Sandler selected these 3 boys not because they're the best students among all, but because they're the prettiest ones. The play was created in a way to show the best of each of us. Your idea will ruin the whole thing. All right. April knew that she was wrong, so she only nodded. This month was ending soon. April wasn't only busy with preparing the show, but also with Marianne's birthday party. In the evening, she and her roommates had a chat about the birthday party in their dorm room. I don't remember if I've mentioned to you that my great aunt is the Madam President of YCC Group. My parents are both working at the group. This time, some friends of my parents will attend my birthday party, and so will my great aunt. April was surprised. The chairwoman of the YCC Corporation would be Aaron's grandma. She wondered if Caitlin Bennett would be there as well. Will the CEO of YCC be there as well? My auntie? She's quite the busy bee. I heard she's on a business trip, so she won't be able to attend the party. She'll send a gift, though, Marianne boasted. You're amazing, Marianne. You're talking with the YCC Group. That company is in the top 300 worldwide. Even an extraordinary clerk in that company earns $10,000 every month. Every fresh graduate is dying to work there. Mr. Bennett will be the heir of the company? Annie said enviously. Yeah, my auntie only has one son. Her daughter doesn't care for corporate business. Amazing. That was the first time I ever met such a rich and handsome heir. Whoever marries him will be a lucky girl. Annie glanced at April. Well, I saw him talking to you that day. Given your looks, you might stand a chance if you try to get closer to him. Don't imagine things, Marianne chuckled lightly. Brother Aaron has an evil mouth. He speaks vile things. No ordinary woman can handle him. April had to agree with her wholeheartedly. Another thing, they are a reputable and powerful family. You think it would be so easy to marry into that family? They would want a matched marriage. This isn't a television drama series. Marianne cautioned April. Rill, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you're not good enough for the family. Given how pretty you are, you won't have any trouble landing yourself a rich, good-looking man. But I'm talking about men who are akin to Mount Kilimanjaro, and Aaron brother is akin to Mount Everest. I know, I won't take offense. April smiled cautiously. Winnie was looking at her too. That's good. I just don't want you to be hurt, Marianne remarked. Oh, right. I prepared evening gowns for all of you. They will be delivered tomorrow before lunch. Remember to wear them at my birthday party. Oh, that's so sweet, Marianne. We really don't have any formal gowns for the occasion. Annie chirped happily and hugged Marianne tightly. I'm counting on you to be my MC, April, Marianne said as she prepared to shower. April picked up the hot water bottle and headed down. Winnie picked hers up and followed behind her. Hey, you all right? Huh? What Marianne said earlier. You know that I considered all those things before I started dating him. We only just started seeing each other. I'm just going to enjoy what we have now. I'll worry about the rest later. Should I really decide to marry him and spend the rest of my life with him? I am willing to give Mount Everest a shot if he gives me his word. April looked at her and continued. How about you? Why didn't you tell me that Marianne was the lead in the musical? That wasn't nice of her. You guys are both in the same faculty after all. If you told me about it, I wouldn't have agreed to host her birthday party. Sometimes it's not that she is trying to overshadow me on purpose. The professors know who she is. They offered her the role without her asking. She's going to release an album soon, too. If I get scouted now, we'll both release our albums at the same time, competing for sales. People would naturally compare us against one another. Things might get much uglier then. I'm just glad I have you to look out for me. Episode 105. You owe me 19 French kisses. But I won't just turn against her openly or offend her. If I did, I wouldn't even get to play a minor role in the musical. Winnie lowered her voice and said, You're Aaron's girlfriend now. His mother has been helping Marianne. Wouldn't you put him and his mother in a difficult position? Besides, your relationship started just recently. After all, we're both nobodies. I mean, if she's really your friend, she'll understand your difficulties and share the opportunity with you, said April. I was never meant to become real friends with her. Winnie shrugged and said, You think the others in our department are happy with that? No one is, and yet everyone who's invited to her birthday party will attend that party. I heard that quite a few senior students in our school who have started working on films and TV shows will all attend, including Ryan. April sighed, feeling anxious for Winnie. We can share. April held her hand and laughed. I have the same plan, but I can't afford an entire flat either. Winnie chuckled and said, Are you sure Mr. Bennett won't invite you to live with him? April blushed. The first day she became his girlfriend, he wanted to bring her back to the villa. She felt it was quite possible for Aaron to invite her to live together with him. I won't live with any man before marriage, she said. You're right. Girls need to know how to look after themselves, responded Winnie. The next day, the 3 dresses ordered by Marianne were delivered to the dorm. While trying on the dresses, April got a call from Aaron. What are you doing? I've peeled 10 bowls of grape and grapefruit. I've kissed you once this morning, so now you owe me 19 French kisses. Hearing Aaron's happy voice, April felt her scalp go numb. She shouldn't have to come up with the idea in the first place. She intended to teach him a lesson with it, but as a result, she taught herself a lesson, while Aaron seemed to be enjoying this game. April didn't say anything. Hello? You can't swallow your words. After 3 seconds of silence, Aaron complained. Because of what you have required, my fingers hurt now. All right, you can stop peeling fruits. I've canceled that rule, said April in a weak voice. You have? Aaron was immediately thrilled. So I can kiss you whenever and wherever I want? I can kiss you 30 times a day. Great. You should have done this long ago. April had an impulse to bite off her own tongue. She wasn't alone in the dorm room, so she didn't want to talk too much about French kissing him over the phone. What are you doing? Are you preparing the play? He asked. No, I'm trying on a dress. Tomorrow is Marianne's birthday. She sent us each a dress for the party, so I'm trying it on now, said April. Yeah? Take a picture of you in the dress and send it to me, said Aaron excitedly. April walked outside and said in a low voice that only Aaron and herself could hear, You'll be seeing me in it tomorrow. I want to be surprised now, Erin said. Besides, Marianne is so ugly, she might prepare ugly gowns for you guys for her to shine brighter tomorrow. Hey, she's still your relative. Objectively speaking, she is quite beautiful. Is it nice to speak of her that way? April was too tired to reprimand him properly. What's wrong with that? Apart from you, everyone else is an ugly duckling. April batted her eyelids. She was still moved by what he said, even though she had anticipated it. He probably said that in confidence of his own taste in women. Nothing to do with how she looks. Didn't you accuse me of undergoing plastic surgery? Why do you think I'm pretty now? Yes, you're the most successful surgery I've ever seen. It's so natural. She shouldn't have asked. Send a photo. I'll give you 2 minutes to send it to my WeChat, Erin said hastily before hanging up. April returned to her dormitory room and snapped a couple of photos and sent them to him. She wasn't entirely pleased with how she looked, but she didn't want him to be grumpy. Erin called her back almost immediately. Why are you wearing white? You look quite plain. You're also showing too much cleavage. I prohibit it. She knew she shouldn't have sent him the photos. She sighed and said, I think it's all right. She gave it to me especially for this occasion. It wouldn't be nice if I didn't wear it. No way am I showing too much cleavage. Only my collarbones are exposed. I'll send another gown to you. Erin ignored her. I don't want it. Don't be ridiculous. April pleaded. It's Marianne's birthday. I shouldn't steal her thunder by wearing something too extravagant. Are you trying to ruin our friendship? You look prettier than her, whatever you're wearing, Erin said matter-of-factly. April didn't know if it was funny or sweet. I'm hosting the party tomorrow. I can't overshadow the star of the show. Why are you the MC? You're going to catch the attention of so many men that way, Erin said spitefully. April was fighting back a smile. He was both frustrating and adorable at the same time. Well, you didn't think I was pretty back then. You always hurled insults at me. You're the prettiest girl I've ever met since we started dating. Meaning I'm not pretty if I wasn't dating you? April thought. She asked me to be the MC. I couldn't refuse. April was speechless. Oh, right. Don't be too affectionate with me at the party tomorrow. I heard that your grandmother would be there too. I don't want to be introduced to your family so soon. What do you mean? Am I supposed to stand back and watch other men hit on you? Try not to think of me as irresistibly attractive. You've managed to attract me, the most perfect man on the planet. What do you think of your attractiveness then? Erin grunted. April inhaled sharply. You don't want your family to be talking about us behind our backs, right? We've barely been together for 2 weeks. Erin thought about how naggy his grandmother was and shuddered. All right, I know. I'll bring Richard along tomorrow to stand guard by your side. No one shall come near you. Episode 106. You are not allowed to have any skin contact with another man apart from me. Don't worry. I'll pretend that I don't know you well. If my family asks about you, I'll tell them that you're so pretty that even Richard got attracted to you, he said. Do what you like. April honestly didn't know what else to say. At 6 after dinner, April began preparing for the Christmas show in the dancing room with a few classmates of hers. After the first rehearsal, April felt that their performances weren't good enough. Madison, your rap was fluent, but not natural enough, and you looked a little stiff. And Zane, you missed 2 dance steps just now, she said. I'm sorry, I'll do better next time. Zane rubbed his hair embarrassedly. Why did you apologize? Asked Madison. Our part is the most difficult part. But you two are playing the most important 2 roles in the show, April reminded her blandly. You chose the roles yourselves. You're playing a big part, so it'll surely be a little difficult. If you're going to rehearse with that attitude, I'll have no choice but to replace you. You. Don't cross the line. Madison stomped her foot and said, Don't think you can do anything you want because Professor Sandler put you in charge. I'm highly valued by Professor Sandler, too. It's just that my grade is slightly lower than yours. All right, stop fighting. We're all doing this for our department. Madison, April didn't point out just your mistakes. She gave advice to all of us. Plus, she has keen eyes. She can easily spot our flaws. None of us can do as well as she does. Brandon kindly tried to mediate the dispute. Yeah, help her. Everyone knows that she has a rich boyfriend. Madison pouted. The others all felt a little embarrassed. Sharon Francis, another classmate, hurriedly brought some drinks and said, Come on, let's have a drink and take a break. Brandon, you bought us drinks again. You're nice. I'll buy it next time. Leslie Manson smiled and said, It's nothing. These ones aren't expensive anyway. Brandon glanced at April and gave her a smile. 5 minutes later, they finished the drinks. April stood up and said, Let's rehearse again. Can we rest a little longer? Madison pouted and asked. Madison, let's show some respect to April, said Zane. She still needs to prepare for the MC's speech at night. I only have a few lines. I'll do 2 full rehearsals with all of you, and then you guys can continue without me, said April. After rehearsal, she needed to draft the MC's speech for Marianne's birthday party. Come on, everybody, get in position. Brandon stood up. In the show, April and Brandon were a couple. They wouldn't appear in many parts, but every time they would appear, they would be holding hands. While performing the rap, Madison suddenly got a glimpse of a handsome man through the window. The light was dim, but it outlined the man's beautiful face, straight nose, and shiny eyes that looked like the eyes of a wolf hiding in the darkness. Madison's heart missed a beat, and her tongue trembled, so she messed up her line. Madison, you made worse mistakes than you made the last time. April turned back and saw that Madison was looking at the window. While complaining, she turned to glance at the window. However, she saw nothing but a tree out there. What are you looking at? She asked. I saw a very handsome man. Before Madison finished, the door of the dancing room was violently pushed open. Aaron broke in with large steps. He was wearing a plaid suit and he was angry. April was shocked, and before she could react, Aaron was already walking towards her. He pulled her into his embrace with his strong arms. She released Brandon's hands. Release her now. Aaron glared at Brandon. He looked livid, like he was about to hurt someone. Brandon was terrified and released her hands immediately. Rill, who is he? Don't call her Rill ever again. Address her as April, Aaron warned. He was being kind to her female friends by granting them permission to call her Rill at all. Who are you? Zane said in an antagonizing manner. Aaron glanced at him quietly. He quickly realized that the 3 men who were in the same skit as April were all decent looking, although they were a far stretch from his own handsome looks. So, she had been spending all her time with them. I am her boyfriend. Aaron squeezed her shoulder. The 2 girls expressed their jealousy through their eyes, Madison especially. Her heart was already beating quickly when she caught sight of Aaron when he entered the room. Although their faculty was full of good-looking boys, they had a boyish, immature look. The man standing in front of her was tall and strong, with perfect features and a sharp jawline. It didn't hurt that he was also wearing an expensive suit and an equally pricey watch. She thought that the online posts about April and her rich boyfriend had been false rumors. Now, she knew that it was the truth, and she felt jealousy overwhelm her. Hey, April, this is too much. Whoever your boyfriend is, how can he barge in here and disrupt our rehearsals? Madison erupted first, but she caught sight of Aaron's glare before she could finish ranting. He emitted a domineering vibe that silenced her immediately. Who are you to criticize my girlfriend? Aaron took a step forward. His tall shadow forced Madison to back away. Follow me. April grabbed his wrist and pulled him away. Aaron stood still and glared at Brandon. I'm going to ignore you if you don't follow me out. April stomped in anger. Aaron looked at her before shuffling his feet. You guys go ahead first without me. I'll be back, April said as she pulled Aaron to the stair landing. He flew into a tantrum before she could speak. You lied to me. You said you were playing a 43-year-old middle-aged man. April was grim. When did I ever say that? You commanded me to do so. I really tried my best, but they didn't think it was appropriate. There was nothing I can do. You shouldn't have promised me in the first place if you couldn't keep your word. I didn't promise you anything, April said with frustration. Silence means consent. Aaron grabbed her wrist and raised it to eye level. You even allowed him to grab you like this just now. He had you in his arms and you were looking at him with love and affection. He was fuming as he continued to rant. He could do these things with her only recently. We're acting in a skit. I won't allow it even if it's acting. April, you are not allowed to have any skin contact with another man apart from me, especially not with that dog, Aaron said and frowned. Episode 107. Apricot, you disappointed me. Don't you always consider yourself perfect and confident? Why do you mind this so much? Asked April curiously. You're right, but this man is not as handsome as I am, and he's not comparable to me. For this very reason, he can't hold your hand because you're my woman. It's not just a humiliation to you, but it's the same to me, Aaron replied in an arrogant way. Are you saying that if I hold hands with someone who's better than you in all aspects, you won't be mad? She asked. Aaron looked at her and responded with, Is there anyone in this world that is better than me? Can you find one? April took a deep breath, then took an even deeper one. She always thought that she was a calm and gentle person, but ever since she became Aaron's girlfriend, she often wanted to use violence. All right, I'll forgive you this time. Don't ever let me see you do anything like that with any other man. Aaron wrapped it up. I'm sorry. I'm afraid I can't do what you asked. April raised her head to look him in the eyes. We can't change our play. We've been rehearsing for a while. By asking me to change the play for you, you're asking me to give up on all the efforts we've made these days and to start over. We don't have enough time for that. Besides, my professor put me in charge because he trusted me. I can't bring difficulty to the whole team for some personal reason." Hearing her words, Aaron again showed anger in his eyes. "I will not allow that," he said through clenched teeth, word by word. "Can you stop being unreasonable?" April didn't think that he would be so possessive. "If I was unreasonable, I'd have kicked that man away when he was holding your hands and putting his arms around you just now," he said angrily. "I've already told you that I can only do a cross-gender performance, but you didn't do what I asked, and now I'm still accommodating myself to you. If you want to be with me, you need to play another role, or rewrite the play." "Just this once, then it'll never happen again, okay?" April held his hands and begged. "No." April frowned and let go of his hands. Finally, she shook her head and said, "I can't do what you said. I have a bottom line, too." Aaron was enraged. Ever since he was little, everyone would try anything to suit him, but in April's heart, he wasn't even as important as her play. "April, you have disappointed me," he said. Then he turned and walked downstairs in big steps. He raised a foot as he wanted to kick away the bin downstairs, but then he put his foot back down and left with anger. April rubbed her forehead. Things might be the same for every couple. They would feel different about each other after they became a couple. Before building a relationship, they may find each other adorable and tolerate each other no matter how. But after becoming boyfriend and girlfriend, they would have more and more conflicts, and they would need to learn to make concessions. However, she couldn't always be the one to make the compromise. He was so terribly jealous. Fortunately, she had never thought of becoming an actor, otherwise he might explode with jealousy every single day. Back in the dancing room, Madison and the others whispered to each other. As April came in, Brandon asked with concern, "Real, your boyfriend didn't give you a hard time, did he? He looked mad. Did you explain everything to him?" "Brandon, didn't you hear her boyfriend warn you just now? Don't call her Real. Call her April." Madison laughed sarcastically. "Your boyfriend is so envious. Sharon has a boyfriend too, but her boyfriend didn't break in and yell around while we were rehearsing." "I apologize to all of you on behalf of my boyfriend. He's been in a bad mood recently. Let's get on with rehearsals. Let's not waste any more time," April said sincerely. "Who's wasting precious time here?" Madison pouted. "Enough." April gave her a look. "You were the first to stumble with your lines just now, even before my boyfriend barged in here. He scared me when I saw him standing by the window. What are you babbling about? Did he glare at you or did he speak to you? He didn't even take a second to look at you. Don't blame him for your lack of focus. If you really dislike receiving orders from me, I can go tell Professor Sandler to put you in charge instead," April said dismissively. Madison looked away in shame and kept quiet. "Let's continue then." At 11 o'clock, Winnie was back from her part-time job and April was sitting on her bed reading a book. She chuckled quietly and whispered to April, "You should be in a good mood today. You got to see Mr. Bennett tonight." April put down her book and said, "You were the one who told him where to find me?" "Yeah, he caught me when I was heading out. He said that you weren't picking up his calls and I told him to try his luck at the dance studio. Why?" "No wonder he found his way there." April forced a smile. "He saw me acting with Brandon and it was an intimate scene. We fought about it." "What's there to fight about? Mr. Bennett sure is a petty man, but it also goes to show that he cares about you. Don't worry about it. It'll blow over in a couple of days." Winnie smiled and grabbed her clothes for a quick shower. She was exhausted from singing all night long. Sunday, Marianne's birthday had arrived. After their second class in the morning, April and Annie emerged from their classroom and Ryan was leaning against the banister outside their class. He was wearing an embroidered jacket with light-washed jeans, his hands in his pockets. He adjusted his posture when he caught sight of them. "Really? You guys heading to Marianne's birthday? Let's head there together. I can drive you and can navigate." April thought about Aaron's jealous expression. "We have to go back to our room to put on makeup. It'll take us another 45 minutes. "It's okay. I can wait for you guys. I don't want to go there alone. I'm not really familiar with the crowd," Ryan said with a shrug. Okay, we'll make haste," Annie said quickly. "I know the way to her place." "Great, I'll be in the car." Ryan gave them a bright, warm smile. April kept her objections to herself until he left them. "Why did you agree to this? Marianne might get jealous if she finds out," she said to Annie. "She's not so petty, and she did tell us to get a ride from any classmates who were driving. Her villa is so out of the way. It'll be too inconvenient for the three of us to find our own way there." April had no other excuse she could come up with. She met up with Winnie and the three of them got ready in their room and headed to the party with Ryan. The four of them arrived at the villa without any hiccups along the way. The villa was situated in a luxury estate newly developed 2 years ago. The building was peaceful and quiet and dotted with greenery and a large pool. The four of them had arrived early, and the decoration in the backyard wasn't completely ready yet. Staff members were still fumbling to set up a platform in the middle of the pool. Marianne had dressed up lavishly. She was wearing a regal, straight neckline gown, showing off her defined collarbones. A glittery diamond necklace adorned her beautiful neck. She looked like a princess. Episode 108. Ask Aaron if he'll come. Wow! Annie screamed in praise. Marianne, you look amazing today, and your party's really luxurious. Marianne glanced at Ryan and flipped her carefully arranged hair. She chuckled. My parents insisted. They wanted it to be different, so they built a stage by the swimming pool. I was planning to make it simpler. Ryan, what do you think? It's nice. Ryan glanced around blandly, then said, but you need to make sure the stage is sturdy enough. Rill will go up there as your MC later. You don't need to worry about that. I'm going up later as well. Marianne grabbed April in Ryan's arms and said, come on in. I want to introduce you to my parents. April and Ryan glanced at each other and frowned slightly, then followed behind Marianne. Quite a lot of middle-aged men were sitting in the lobby. Marianne guided them to a middle-aged couple who were dressed extremely luxuriously, and then said, Mom, Dad, these are my friends. This is April. She's the MC of the party. This is Ryan. Have you watched his movie? He's really popular right now. Mrs. Flanders glanced at the two of them, then fixed her eyes on Ryan, smiled, and said, You look just like your mother. Mom, do you know Ryan's parents? Marianne was surprised. Yes, his mother is a friend of mine. Mrs. Flanders covered her mouth and continued banteringly. Years ago, his mother and I talked about letting our kids marry each other. I didn't know that you two had met each other so long ago. Marianne glanced at Ryan shyly, then her face blushed. Ryan frowned slightly and then said, Mrs. Flanders, I need to go to the bathroom. Please excuse me. Oh, of course, said Mrs. Flanders. After Ryan left, she looked at April and said, Marianne, your friend here is very young. I don't think there will be any problems for her to be the MC, right? After all, some seniors will attend the party tonight. It's going to be fine. April's even going to host the Christmas gala in our school this year. Marianne was very confident about April. Well, good. Thank you all. Mrs. Flanders nodded at April and the others. Marianne, have you called Sylvia? When will she arrive? You should also ask her if Aaron will come. It would be nice if he would come, Donald Flanders said abruptly. I'll ask. Marianne stuck her tongue out playfully. While guiding her friends upstairs, she called Sylvia. April carefully listened behind her. Aaron hadn't contacted her all day, so she didn't know if he was coming or not. In the police station, Sylvia got the call while dealing with a case about domestic violence. Party? Yeah, I would have forgotten about it if you didn't call. Running around in circles. I'll go after work, Sylvia said while typing. Will Aaron show up? If he's not busy, can you ask him to come? We can have fun together. Many shareholders of YCC Group have brought their daughters to the party. He might even fall in love here. Marianne made a joke. I don't think he'll be there. He hates parties, but I'll ask him, Sylvia replied. My brother already has a girlfriend. Why would he attend a party like that? Marianne asked her quite graciously, so she agreed to ask Aaron for her, but she didn't actually make the call. About 40 minutes later, her phone rang. She paused slightly when seeing the number, then answered the call and said, Brother, what made you call me? You're going to Marianne's birthday party, aren't you? I'm going with you, said Aaron with a flat tone. Sylvia thought she heard him wrong. I thought you didn't care for the Flanders family. Ma's always pleading with you to go to their events. What's gotten over you today? Yeah, I didn't want to go, but Grandma nagged at me. I was thinking that I should be more filial and get to know her side of the family better since she's so old already. Aaron said nobly. I'll take over the YCC Group Corporation when Ma retires. I should maintain an amicable relationship with Donald. He is, after all, a senior executive at the company. Oh. Sylvia blinked her eyes. She thought her brother's excuse was kind of suspicious. I'll drive over to pick you up now. Later, I'm not done with work yet. How long more do you need? About 40 minutes? Sylvia looked at her watch. It's quite rude to arrive late at someone else's party. How about half an hour from now? I'll be at the entrance of the police post. Aaron scolded her. I have things I need to take care of. I told Marianne beforehand, if you're worried about being late, you can go ahead first, Sylvia said matter-of-factly. She found it strange that he was being so persistent. Anyway, I'm the daughter of the YCC Group CEO, and I am a VIP at the party. VIPs always arrive later than the normal folks. See ya. Sylvia put down her phone and started keying in information into the computer. She was finally done with her work after half an hour when another police officer brought a burglar into the station. After taking down his statement, she received a call from Aaron. It's been 50 minutes. I'm here. Come down now. It's gonna take a while more. Sylvia, it's already 6:30 p.m. Aaron was gritting his teeth. She was testing his patience. The party is starting without us. Any later, he would be missing April's welcoming address. He hadn't managed to put Richard next to her to guard her. Any later, she would surely be surrounded by pesky suitors. I have to register a case over here. Someone just got arrested. Sylvia sighed. You can go ahead, you know. I thought about it. I'm an even more important VIP than you are. I have to arrive after you to show my status. I'll give you 10 minutes. If you don't appear by then, I'll tell your station commander to transfer you to a clerk. Phew. Sylvia felt her reflux acting up as she tried hard to control her temper. Why was her brother acting so crazy? At the Flanders villa, the sound of melodious violin filled every corner of the estate. April was sitting beneath a tree and having some finger food. She was rehearsing her lines for later in her head. The occasion seemed quite casual and homely, but she knew that the attendants were all senior executives from the YCC Corporation and their family members. Most of the guests were millionaires. Hey, did you see him? That man looked like Charlie Fanning, that famous pop singer. Winnie pointed at a man standing in the lawn. Whoa, I didn't know that Marianne invited him. She invited many popular influencers from Weibo as well. Ryan leaned against the tree trunk. I wouldn't have come if I'd known. Really, you didn't have to agree to host this event. Yeah, Winnie looked worried as well. It'll be good if everything went smoothly, but if anything goes wrong, all these famous people, it's okay. I have confidence in my ability. April gave them a slight smile. She went to plenty of big events with her father in the past. She didn't feel any stage fright. Episode 109. I think April is acting a little strange, as if she's suddenly distracted. I can't keep talking with you. More people are looking at me. I need to hide somewhere. Seeing a blushing young girl walking toward him, Ryan hurriedly turned and left. He has fans everywhere. All young girls like him. Winnie smiled, looking around. So where's Mr. Bennett? Is he still angry? He's still coming, isn't he? Why don't you call him and ask? I'm not calling him, said April. If she called the narcissistic Aaron, he might think that she missed him and wanted to apologize to him. Look, who's that? The surrounding guests suddenly pointed at the pebbled trail near the entrance and excitedly whispered to each other. Rosaria, my God, Rosaria is here. Oh, I'm so excited. What should I do? Rosaria is my idol. She's so pretty. Who's the man next to her? He's so handsome. I think that's her boyfriend. I've seen his photos online. That's the president of the Eisenberg Group. What Eisenberg Group? Earlier this year, the company changed its name to Davidson Group. April turned in that direction and saw Isaac and Rosaria walking over. He was wearing a black suit while she was in a blue dress. Their hands were intertwined together and both of them were wearing sweet smiles. They were like two glowing pearls in the darkness of night, catching everyone's eyes immediately. April trembled slightly. The plate in her hands dropped into the grass. Marianne invited Rosaria. She never mentioned that before. Hearing the noise, Winnie turned back and found that April's face had become a ghastly pale color. She even looked a little panicked. Winnie had never seen her like that. What's wrong? Are you okay? Asked Winnie. I'm fine. April bent over to pick up the plate. Her mind was a little unclear at the moment. She shouldn't have come. She shouldn't have agreed to be the MC of the party. Marianne never mentioned she and Rosaria were friends. If those two see me, they won't just tell everyone that I'm April Eisenberg, will they? She thought. So many of her schoolmates would be here tonight. If people found out who she really was, even her rich boyfriend might not be able to fix her problem. However, the party was about to begin, and it was too late for her to leave. April, you're here! I've been looking for you! Annie ran over with her dress lifted. She grabbed April's hand and said, Marianne wants you to get ready. You'll be on stage in 10 minutes. Wait. Before she could talk, Annie dragged her away. Winnie gazed at April's back for a while, feeling a little strange, so she turned around and called Aaron. She didn't tell April that yesterday. When she met Aaron, the latter didn't only ask for her number, but made her save his number in her phone. He told Winnie that if anything happened to April, she should call him. Back at that time, Winnie didn't think that she would be calling him so soon. Winnie, what's wrong? Aaron answered the call in a cold voice. Nothing, I just Want to know when you will arrive, Mr. Bennet? Looney said with hesitation. I feel like April's acting a little strange, like she's suddenly distracted. Is it because I'm not there? Aaron snorted proudly and said, I knew it. She never says what she means. You tell her that I'll be right there not to miss me too much. Also let her know that I'm still angry about what happened last night. She should reconsider my words. I meant what I said. No joke. Rosaria was standing behind her, and now Aaron's grandma was right in front of her. Okay. When he put down the call awkwardly. No wonder April called him an eccentric man. What a pity that he wasn't into script writing. He would be full of crazy ideas, and he could write an entire television series by himself. In the SUV, Sylvia looked over at her brother and rolled her eyes. I finally know why you're suddenly so interested in Marianne's party today. 'Cause they're real, isn't it? All right, Rill and Marianne are in the same university. Is that how they know each other? Kudos to you for putting on this philolial act. What act? Apricot is part of the reason, but she's not the only reason. Ma has always encouraged me to get to know Uncle Donald better, Aaron said without flinching. He focused on the road ahead of them and stepped on the accelerator. Why are you driving so fast? Are you crazy? Sylvia held on to her safety belt. I don't want to either, but April is acting weird around me. I have to get there as soon as possible, Aaron said. She wanted to Google how to handle a crazy brother. At 7:05, April was standing by the poolside. The platform stage in the pool was constructed with care. It resembled a magpie bridge where the cowboy would meet the weaving maid. Kathy Rogers stood opposite her and whispered to her with a smile, April, I know you are Marianne's good friend. Can I trouble you with something? Go ahead, ma'am. April was nervous. She felt like she was walking on thin ice here. She was angling herself in such a way that Rosaria wouldn't be able to spot her so quickly. I can tell that Marianne fancies Ryan, and you seem pretty close to him. Can you get him to push the cake up onto the stage later? I think she'll be thrilled. Kathy looked at her meaningfully. I heard that you're from the broadcasting faculty. I'll write in to get you an internship at the television station next year. April was in a conundrum. If she pushed Ryan onto the stage with the cake, the guests would likely think that he was in a relationship with Marianne. She wouldn't feel so bad if he fancied her too, but she could tell that he was completely uninterested in Marianne. She couldn't bear to do that to her good friend. Ma'am, I'm afraid I'm quite occupied here. Why don't you ask someone else? Who can I ask? Annie told me that you're the closest to him. April wanted to strangle Annie. Her naivety was putting April in a difficult position. At this moment, Mrs. Rogers brought an energetic old lady towards them. The old lady had black and healthy hair, and she was wearing a string of pearls around her neck. She looked elegant and important. Kathy, come greet your great-aunt. Hey, when did you arrive, Auntie? I should have greeted you when you arrived. I'm talking to Marianne's classmate who is hosting the event. Kathy grinned and hooked her arm around Esther Warhol's hand. It's okay. You go do your thing. Esther patted Kathy's hand affectionately, her gaze resting on April. What a pretty and graceful girl. Marianne's classmate is quite beautiful, Esther said. Hello, Grandma. April looked at the older woman. She resembled Caitlin Bennett. She was panicking inside. Rosaria was standing behind her, and now Aaron's grandma was right in front of her. It was getting difficult to keep her calm composure. Good girl, Esther said with satisfaction. Where are you from? What do your parents do? Episode 110. I've luckily met Mr. Bennet last year. April was in a daze for a second and didn't manage to respond quickly. However, Mrs. Flanders quickly answered the question for her. I heard from Marianne that she's from Luxville and her parents have passed away. Hearing that, Esther showed a regretful look and said, I rarely see a girl who is that pretty. I was going to introduce her to Aaron, but sadly her family ground is unideal. Auntie, Mrs. Flanders hurriedly said, I know a few other pretty girls at the party. One of them is the daughter of our CTO, and the other two are the daughters of our important partners. They have all graduated from prestigious overseas universities. I think Aaron will like them. Later, I'll introduce them to you. Mrs. Flanders paused briefly, then sighed and continued, If only Aaron was here. I'll meet the girls for him if he doesn't show up. Esther smiled and said, He's nearly 30 years old, yet he has never had a girlfriend. Both his grandpa and I are anxious for him. Hearing their conversation, April thought that they might not know that Aaron's girlfriend was standing right in front of them. Aaron's grandma seemed to want to introduce her to Aaron earlier, but then she gave up because of her family background. It seemed that wealthy families did regard family backgrounds as important. April wondered if Aaron's family would say no when they found out about their current relationship. At that moment, Marianne's sweet voice was heard from behind. "Ms. Rosaria, Mr. Davidson, let me introduce my family to you. This is my grandmother, this is my grandaunt, and this is my mother." April froze and her face paled. After what had happened at the Mahjong party, April didn't expect Isaac to leave her any dignity in public. Now she met him again, and he might try humiliating her again as much as possible. The situation would be slightly better if Aaron's grandmother weren't sitting right in front of April. "Marianne, your great-aunt is the Madam President of the YCC group, right?" Rosaria smiled, then greeted Esther. "Dear Madam, I've heard so much about you. This is my boyfriend, Isaac, from Davidson Pictures." "Madam," Isaac shook hands with Esther and the others and then said, "You remind me of Mr. Bennett. I luckily met him at the end of last year." "You have? I wonder what he's been up to recently. I haven't seen him for quite a while." Esther was amiable when talking of her grandson. "Mr. Davidson, you look about the same age as Aaron. You're young and promising indeed." Marianne took the opportunity to make a more detailed introduction of Isaac. "Great-aunt Mr. Davidson has developed a film and television base this year. In the future, 70% of all movies and TV series are going to be filmed there," he said. "So if our Marianne wants to shoot a movie, she can simply talk to you, right, Mr. Davidson?" Esther asked, smiling. "That'll be my pleasure." Isaac gave a mild smile. Meanwhile, out of the corner of his eye, he saw a slim and pretty girl prepare to leave. Smilingly, he said, "That lady looks familiar from behind." April closed her eyes. It finally happened. She knew that Isaac and Rosaria wouldn't miss a chance to humiliate her in public. "It's okay. I've been through worse. There's nothing to be afraid of." She forced a smile, then turned around. Isaac narrowed his eyes slightly. She was always so pretty. Even now, she was in a simple white dress, yet she looked so flawlessly beautiful. "April, it's you! No wonder. I thought I knew her." Rosaria stepped forward and held her hands. "You know each other?" Marianne asked with surprise. April knew what Rosaria intended to say, so before that happened, she said, "Ms. Rosaria, such a surprise to see you and Mr. Davidson here. Marianne, I haven't told you that I worked for Miss Rosaria as her assistant before, but I made a mistake which made Mr. Davidson quite unhappy, so I quit the job." Marianne got the idea. "Oh, I see. You didn't want to tell me where you were working at. Mr. Davidson is a nice person. If you offended him, just apologize to him." "And I'm not going to apologize," April interrupted her. "I have my limits and principles, and I am just an assistant, and I always do good, honest work, but Mr. Davidson tried to gift me as a present to one of his friends. I thought it was inappropriate, and I excused myself early. I didn't dare go back to work after that anymore. Pardon me, Mr. Davidson, but how could you abuse your authority as the boss of a big film production company and exchange your own staff members for advantages?" Her justified speech left everyone shocked. Esther looked stricken with horror. She hated the dirty exchanges behind the fame and glory of the entertainment industry. Isaac frowned deeply. Rosaria also didn't expect April to strike back against them so quickly. "What nonsense are you saying? I'm not spouting nonsense. I was there with you, Miss Rosaria, when you went to Club Fantasy Club to meet Mr. Lennox. It was the same night that the police officers carried out a raid and arrested him on the spot. Club Fantasy has since been shut down as well. Lucky you, the media didn't get a hold of any evidence that you were there that night." April laughed coldly. Rosaria's face froze at the mention of Club Fantasy. Esther watched the entire conversation before she shot an unpleasant glance at Marianne. She grabbed Madame Rogers and said, "Let's go. We've been standing here for a while now. The air has turned sour. Kathy, teach your Marianne properly. Don't let her invite all sorts of bad people to the house." Rosaria was furious. She hadn't been humiliated like this for a while now. "Madam, she's making bogus accusations." "I'm making baseless assumptions?" April laughed. "I have a photo of you and Mr. Lennox from that night. I snapped it accidentally at dinner. I remember how well you two got along. Mr. Lennox is a lewd man. He forces all the actresses in the films that he invests into sleeping with him. Even his club is filled with underage girls." "April!" Marianne tried to interrupt her. Her tone was cautioning her not to speak a word further. Rosaria was her guest at the party, after all. April's accusations reflected badly on her in front of her grandmother. April wasn't surprised that Marianne wasn't on her side. She knew that it was a cruel world out there. It was natural that Marianne wanted to protect her own interests and side with the equally powerful and rich. She was merely a roommate, a university classmate, an acquaintance in Marianne's eyes. "It's okay, Marianne. Let her continue." Rosaria grabbed Marianne's arms and smiled. "I've done nothing wrong. Your friend, on the other hand—" "Look, Auntie Erin is here, along with Sylvia." Kathy pointed towards the narrow path with delight, all eyes watching Erin enter the estate beneath the dim glimmer of the street lamps. Sylvia walked in front of him wearing a long black trench coat, her hair let down. She looked handsome, like how you would imagine a female police officer to look like. Erin towered behind her in a moss-green suit and a black undershirt. He was wearing brown loafers and he looked regal and dashing. His tall figure was accompanied by a handsome Alaskan husky. The siblings captured the attention of all the guests at the party instantly. Episode 111. My dog seems to like this lady. Except for Rosaria and Isaac, everyone around April walked toward Erin and Sylvia. "Miss Rosaria, Mr. Davidson, please excuse me for a second. I need to go say hi to my cousins." Marianne apologized and quickly followed behind Esther and the others. "Erin, your grandma and I were just talking about how if only you were here, and now you are here. What a surprise. I haven't seen you in a while. You're even more handsome than before." Mrs. Flanders just couldn't stop grinning. Erin was the future successor of YCC Group, and his showing up could mean that he admitted the Flanders family as an important part of YCC. After all, a new chief brings new aides. Caitlin Bennett was looking after the Flanders family for now, but who knew what would happen after Erin took over the company? While responding carelessly, Erin looked around and soon found April, who was standing by the swimming pool. She was wearing a pure white dress today. Her body was slim, and her eyes were shining, looking stunningly beautiful. "She is so the woman I like. She looks stunning even in a simple dress, unlike Marianne here. My eyes are dazzled by her dress, yet she's not even half as pretty as April." He wondered why April wasn't looking at him, and who the man standing by her side was. As for the lady beside the man, he ignored her. "Erin, where are you looking? Your aunt is talking to you. Speak to her." Esther gave Erin a softly threatening glance and said, "Do you have your eyes on some girl?" "We have so many beautiful girls at the party tonight, but the one I like the most is Director Skinner's daughter. Look, that girl in the pink dress," Mrs. Flanders said and hurriedly pointed at a girl. Erin glanced at the girl, then turned back and said, "Average." "You call that average? Auntie, you need to improve your taste, and I'm not here for a blind date. I don't need anyone to introduce me to any girls." Erin glanced at Mrs. Flanders. Mrs. Flanders was forbidden to say another word by the impatience in his eyes, but only sneakily pulled Esther's arm. If Erin married Director Skinner's daughter, the Flanders family would have a stronger footing in the company. Sylvia sensed the strange atmosphere, so she hurriedly held Esther's hands and said, "Granny, I'm also here. Please don't always talk about my brother, making me jealous. He doesn't like those kinds of parties because you always try to introduce him to girls." All right, I'll stop. But I think you need to talk to your brother. Why did he bring a dog to this occasion? What if the dog bit someone?" Hearing their conversation, Erin became extremely impatient. He grasped the chance to give Richard a light kick. The huge Richard instantly began twisting his body. As Erin dropped the leash, Richie immediately broke out to the crowd and rushed toward the swimming pool. Many guests were startled by this giant dog. Richard darted directly to April. Seeing the scary-looking dog rushing over, Rosaria panicked, automatically taking 2 steps backward. However, she didn't notice that she was already at the edge of the swimming pool. Before she knew it, she tripped on her heels and fell backward. Isaac was going to pull her, but instead of that, he found that Richard was pouncing on April, so he reached out an arm to protect the latter without thinking. As the party turned chaotic, guests were crowding around the pool, watching Rosaria flail about helplessly. "Help, I can't swim!" The attention was turned to Rosaria's date, Isaac. He was currently entangled in a mess with Richard in fear that the dog would hurt April if he walked away. Finally, one of the guests jumped into the pool and carried Rosaria out of the water as the other guests scrambled to give him a hand. Rosaria was in a sorry state. Her high-heeled pumps had fallen off and she was gurgling water. Her skin had gone pale and she sat slumped, dripping wet. To the delight of some of her nemesis, her blue gown was now translucent and plastered to her body. Her breasts were spilling from the corset and her nipple pasties had fallen too. Every humiliating detail revealed to all the guests. Men were looking at her bosom and behind with lust. April was astonished. She knew that Rosaria was afraid of dogs, but she had underestimated the amount of terror that Richard could elicit. As she looked at Rosaria, she couldn't help but feel gleeful about the turn of events. Justice is best served hot, she thought. She looked at Isaac, who was still wrestling with Richard on the ground. What on earth is he doing? His lady fell into the pool. Come here, Richie. Aaron walked over and called out. Richard detached himself from Isaac and ran to Aaron obediently. Isaac was annoyed, but he had to contain his anger when he saw that Aaron was the owner of the dog. He quietly removed his jacket and wrapped it around Rosaria. Isaac. Rosaria buried her face into his chest and sobbed pitifully. Mr. Davidson, carry Rosaria upstairs to get a change of clothes, Marianne said. Butler, bring my new evening gown upstairs for Miss Rosaria. Isaac carried her silently towards the villa with Marianne following behind them. The Flanders family looked awkward and embarrassed. Esther glared at Aaron and said, I told you just now, don't bring the dog if you have to come. Why didn't you hold on to his leash properly? Look at what you've done. How is this my fault? Richie didn't touch her at all. She was scared witless when she saw him and fell into the water herself. I don't understand why anyone would fear Richie. There's nothing to be scared about. He looks like such a friendly dog, and he never, ever bites. Aaron bent over and patted the dog. Friendly? Was he describing a Samoyed dog? The guests were almost grinning. April was speechless. Richie resembled a wolf. Aaron was a tad shameless to describe him as a friendly dog. How does he look friendly at all? Esther announced aloud what everyone else was thinking. Naturally, people will be scared of such a big dog. I'll leave then, since Richie is so unwelcome here, Aaron said apologetically and turned to leave. It's okay, just an unfortunate accident. Donald Flanders stopped him. Richie is adorable, and I quite like him. Yeah, Kathy added. I'll get him some bones to chew on later. Thanks, Auntie. I'm sorry for the trouble. Aaron halted and smiled. Richie wagged his tail and barked at April. My dog seems to like this lady. Aaron raised his brows at her and smiled. What mediocre taste. She wanted to punch him. Aaron stroked Richie quietly. What an act. She knew that he was there for her, but what he was acting so aloof and nonchalant. What was he trying to pull? Episode 112. April, go apologize to Sister Rosaria later. Esther glanced at her grandson helplessly. She was used to her grandson's strange tastes. However, as April's family background was too unideal, she thought for a moment, then stayed silent. As no one responded to Aaron, Sylvia had no other choice but to play a part in his show. Brother, enough is enough. I think she's pretty. Yeah? Aaron patted Richard on the butt, then Richard wiggled to April, put his forepaws on her shoulders, and raised his head to lick her face. Aaron raised his eyebrows. Esther couldn't bear watching this. Tell Richie to stop doing that, she said. That girl is the MC. Don't break her dress. Aaron walked over and slapped Richard's back. Richard howled and put down his forepaws, but he wouldn't leave April. April found this both funny and annoying. Aaron was so angry yesterday, but today he came here and ordered Richard to keep an eye on her. Richie rarely likes someone so much. Just play with him for a while. Aaron eyed April in a bland way, saying, Can you please feed him later? Aaron, this young lady is our MC. She'll be on stage later, Mrs. Flanders reminded him. Then she can feed Richie afterward. Aaron nodded. Mrs. Flanders didn't know how to continue. Uncle Sidney, I haven't seen you in a while. Aaron turned and walked to a man who was greeting him. They shook hands, then started chatting. Seeing that, Esther just didn't know what to say. Sylvia, you should look after Richie later when Miss April goes on stage. What happened just now can't happen again, she said to Sylvia. Granny, don't worry. Sylvia nodded while winking at April. April couldn't help but admire Sylvia and her brother for their acting skills. Later, when Ms. Rosaria finishes changing, the party will begin, Mrs. Flanders said to April, then guided Esther and Sylvia to their seats. Real, isn't that? Ryan walked over confusedly. However, before he approached, Richard bared his teeth and threatened him, looking seriously scary. Ryan raised both his hands, not daring to come any closer. April wanted to laugh. She guessed that Aaron and Richard trained at home. Don't worry, this dog knows me, she said. Ryan was a little speechless, feeling that the dog threatened him on purpose. He was surprised to find that April's boyfriend was actually the future successor of the YCC group. No wonder he was so rich and proud. 15 minutes later, Marianne escorted Rosaria and Isaac out of the villa. Rosaria had changed into a black dress and put on a new face of delicate makeup. However, all of the guests clearly remembered how she fell into the water just now. Now they just wanted to laugh more at her. "Isaac, look!" Rosaria spotted the dog beside April, so she angrily tugged on Isaac's clothes. She was so pissed off. She would never forget that earlier. When she fell into the pool, Isaac could have saved her, but chose to protect April instead. What made her even angrier was that the dog now seemed to be happy around April. "Stop," Isaac warned Rosaria with a low voice. The dog was just an ordinary dog, yet his owner wasn't an ordinary man. "Don't be angry anymore, Rosaria. Brother Aaron treasures that dog a lot." Marianne was frustrated at how the party was turning out. She never managed to win Richard's affection, no matter how hard she tried to befriend the dog in the past. She wondered what had gotten over Richard today. "I know, I won't hold it against the dog," Rosaria forced a smile. "You can sit over there. I'll go talk to April." Marianne walked towards her friend. "Can we begin?" April asked as she approached her. She wanted to get this over and done with as soon as possible. "April, go apologize to Rosaria later," Rosaria said. "It's for your own good. Mr. Davidson is an important person in the entertainment industry." "I didn't push her into the pool, did I?" April's face looked ghastly. "If you think I should apologize for what I said earlier, I don't think it's necessary. I wasn't lying, Marianne. Shouldn't you try to consider my stand? I'm your guest tonight as well. I'm helping you MC. If you don't want me to, I can leave now." Marianne's facial expression looked a little stiff, but she broke into a smile quickly. "All right, it's my fault. You're right. Don't leave, all right? I won't have an MC without you. We're already running 10 minutes late. Do help me clarify later when you're on stage." "That's no problem." April took the opportunity to go along with her. Marianne spoke to the DJ quickly and the music quieted. April climbed onto the wooden stairs in the middle of the pool with the microphone in her hand. "Dear esteemed guests, good evening. Welcome to Marianne's birthday party. We're running late due to some technical difficulties, and we're sorry for the delay and inconveniences caused." Aaron was looking at the slim figure in the middle of the pool while sitting on the rattan chair beneath the tree. April looked like a fairy that had descended to earth. Esther laughed. "The MC's good. She's very eloquent, and there's a soothing quality to her voice." "Yes," Aaron said distractedly. His woman was naturally outstanding in every aspect. Sylvia teased. "Grandma, so rare for you to praise someone. Why don't you introduce her to my brother?" "I did intend to do so, but I heard that she's from Lukesville and her parents are no longer." Esther shook her head. "Your brother is the future successor of the company. His wife has to be of equal standing. I've seen it all. Having a compatible family background is extremely important for a successful marriage." Aaron frowned. "If I fancy someone, I don't care about her family background at all. I won't even care if she's broke. When two persons of different upbringing get together, you will find that your values and viewpoints of the world will be very different after a while." Esther waved her hands dismissively. "Forget it, you won't understand. I'm telling you now that I won't be supportive of the relationship. I'm the one who's looking for a wife. I don't need your support." "You." Before Esther could continue, an ear-screeching static interference could be heard from the stage. The platform looked like it was on the verge of collapse, and April was wobbling precariously, trying to catch her balance. Aaron looked stricken with panic and stood up abruptly. Episode 113. April is my fiancé. Standing on the stage, April felt something was not right, so she held the handrail but stumbled toward the ground. However, she only managed to make 2 steps before the stage suddenly fell apart and she fell into the water along with it. December in Rosewood City wasn't cold, but the water was. April didn't realize that the water was deeper than it looked until she fell to the bottom of the pool. The middle area was the deepest area of the pool. The water there was at least 6 feet deep. Thankfully, she knew how to swim. When she tried pretty hard to bring herself up, the planks of the stage fell on her shoulders and head. She heard a buzzing noise at the back of her head, then felt dizziness. After that, she sank back to the bottom along with the planks. Right at that point, she inhaled quite some water and started falling unconscious. Through the water, she saw someone jump into the pool, quickly swimming towards her. She thought it was Aaron, but as the man got closer, she realized that it was Isaac. She didn't understand why he looked so anxious. She guessed that it was because her vision was blurred and she couldn't see clearly. When Isaac swam up to her, she lost her eyesight temporarily. Isaac lifted the planks, held April, and swam back as quickly as possible. 2 people had fallen into the water, so the guests had all gathered around the pool and started whispering to each other. At the shoreside, Isaac shook April. She didn't wake up, so he hurriedly took off his coat, wrapped her up, and then carried her up. Her wet hair rested on her scalp, and her forehead was bleeding. Soon the blood covered half of her face. Seeing the blood, Isaac was shocked. He had been torturing her, giving her pain, yet he never wanted her to suffer any physical harm. He wanted her to live safely and healthily. April, wake up. Isaac's breath was shallow and uneven. He patted her face, then pressed her chest. She let out a few mouthfuls of water, but still didn't wake up. Under desperation, he prepared to give her artificial respiration. When he forced her mouth open, he was violently dragged away, and a man in a dark green suit took his place. "What are you doing?" The raging Isaac rushed up and launched a punch. He didn't even care who that man was. "Piss off," he roared. Aaron clenched his fists and turned to look at him. His face was perfectly handsome, and his eyes were dark and cold. "I'm going to save her," he said. "Don't touch me again." If Isaac didn't save April, he would want to beat him to death because Isaac touched the chest of his woman. He was so angry about it, even if Isaac did it to save her. And just now, Isaac even tried to give her CPR. "Am I dead? I'm here, so she'll never need a strange man's help." Isaac paused slightly when he saw Aaron's face clearly. A strange thought emerged in his head, yet he didn't have the time to calm himself down and think. "Mr. Bennett, I don't care." Before he finished, he saw Aaron bent over to give April the artificial respiration. At that moment, he suddenly figured something out. If a man wouldn't allow another man to touch a woman, then he must have his eyes on that woman. But wasn't April in a relationship with Richard Jones? Almost everyone in Rosewood City knew that Aaron and Richard were best friends. Did they even share women? Isaac clenched his fists. He knew that Aaron was giving April artificial respiration, but when their lips touched, he became so angry that his own lips turned purple. The guests found the scene peculiar as well. The Flanders family looked surprised, and Marianne looked grim. Everyone heard about how much of a cleanliness freak Aaron was. He had a reputation of humiliating all the girls he dated with his vile mouth, but here he was, fighting to do mouth-to-mouth rescue for April. It was unbelievable. Esther looked on meaningfully as well. Her grandson had rushed forward when the platform gave way. Isaac only managed to jump in first as he was right by the poolside. She knew her grandson well. He was highly possessive. She figured that he had something going on with this girl for him to act this way. April coughed out some water after a couple of rescue attempts. She opened her eyes feebly, but her body was weak. Blood was still dripping down the side of her face, and she couldn't make out the person in front of her. She remembered that Isaac was the last person she saw, and she mouthed, "Isaac?" Aaron's joyous expression was replaced by a look of coldness. He turned around and glared at Isaac viciously. With a swoop, he lifted April and walked out. Halfway, he paused and looked at the rest of the guests before settling his gaze on Sylvia. "You are a police officer. Protect the scene of the crime and find out why this happened in the first place." "Yes." Sylvia nearly gave him a salute. Her brother's aura was far more intimidating than her own superiors. "Don't worry, I won't let anyone near the scene." Aaron marched on with April in his arms. Isaac belted behind him. "Isaac!" Rosaria grabbed his wrist and pleaded, "No matter what, you're attending this birthday party as my boyfriend. How do you expect me to face the rest of the guests if you walked out on me? Please, you can go over later. Aaron will bring her to the hospital." "I'm afraid you've got it wrong. I was never your boyfriend. We were just putting on an act together." Isaac pried her hands away from his wrists and ran after Aaron. At 8:20 p.m., Aaron barged through the accident and emergency doors. Medical personnel hurried April into the resuscitation room. As he looked at the shut doors in front of him, he unbuttoned his shirt anxiously. He turned to see Isaac run into the building hurriedly. The two of them locked eyes about 10 meters apart, and Isaac continued to walk towards him. Aaron could see the worry in his eyes. "Mr. Davidson, thank you for saving April today. You can go home now." Isaac's handsome face looked serious on his drive here. He thought about a lot of things, and he reminded himself to stay calm. But it was hard to control his emotions now. "Mr. Bennett, you don't have to thank me. It's my duty to save April." Aaron could sense it. He wasn't stupid. He didn't understand why Isaac jumped in even before Ryan Rodriguez. He wondered how many more suitors April had. "You know April?" "April is my fiancée." They looked at each other, and the atmosphere was tense. Episode 114. You don't even qualify to be my love rival. Aaron spent about 10 seconds staring at him. Then he suddenly smiled and said, "I remember seeing you last year. Your name is Isaac, right? I think your girlfriend is the one who fell into the water earlier. Mr. Bennet, I didn't know about your relationship with April, but she's really my fiancée. We got engaged under the witness of our parents. Isaac calmly looked Aaron in the eyes. His tone revealed how much he cherished that part of his memory. The pale light poured down. Aaron's eyes were as dark as the night sky. He wanted to punch someone so badly that his muscles twitched. However, his education and military experience told him to calm down and to restrain himself. How could he believe Isaac? Maybe this man was a lunatic. Mr. Bennet, how's April? Is she okay? Winnie ran over and asked. Seeing the two men on the verge of breaking out into a fight, her heart missed a beat. What happened? Aaron held his breath, grabbed Isaac's collar and said, Try to say another word. How could April have a fiancé? That was ridiculous. How could she ever get engaged to Isaac? At that very moment, he was trying very hard to stop himself from disabling this man. Why would I lie to you? I'm telling you the truth. If she wasn't my fiancée, why would I jump into the water to save her? Mr. Bennet, I won't forget how you've saved my fiancée. Please, leave now, Isaac said blandly. Once again, Aaron's body froze. He felt that nothing was more ridiculous than what he had heard. He was April's boyfriend, yet this man just told him to leave. How could he? You're lying. Winnie glared at Isaac and spoke out loud. Mr. Davidson, aren't you ashamed to say that? Just now you had your arm around Rosaria's waist. You were hugging and kissing and you carried her into the villa to change. Everyone at the party saw that. Besides, everyone knows that Rosaria has a boyfriend whose name is Isaac, who owns a film company and who has been helping her. You two hold hands in public and you've admitted to the public that Rosaria is your girlfriend. And now you're claiming that you have a fiancé? How can you even say that? Don't you have any sense of shame? Who are you? You know nothing about April. Isaac's face darkened immediately. Winnie didn't look at him but turned to Aaron and continued, I've been sharing a room with April for nearly a year. I've never seen this man, and except you, Mr. Bennet, I never saw her with another man. If she had a fiancé, she'd at least contact him in some way. Hearing that, Isaac felt a tsunami in his heart. He thought that April was dating Richard, but now he found out that he was wrong. Graham said that Richard often drives Aaron's sports car, so he thought it was Richard in the car. But now he figured out that it was Aaron himself. He had the same guess on his way here, but he didn't want to think about it. He couldn't understand how on earth April could hook up with someone like Aaron. He was clearly aware of the fact that April was pretty and capable, yet he never thought that Aaron would fall for her. As all sorts of thoughts overwhelmed Isaac, but Aaron calmed down quickly. He didn't know that Rosaria was a celebrity, nor did he know about her relationship with Isaac. Hearing what Winnie had said, he gained some insight into their relationships. If I were you, Isaac, I would walk away now. I know your family has great influence in Rosewood City, Mr. Bennet, but you shouldn't abuse your power like this. Isaac smiled slyly. I'm not abusing my power. April will clear things up once she wakes up. Aaron looked at him with contempt. You are the director of a big company after all, Isaac. You shouldn't compromise on your values after gaining some fame and fortune. I heard that you owe all you have now to a woman. Your company used to belong to the Eisenberg family, am I right? His temples throbbed at the mention of the Eisenbergs. All his acquaintances knew that it was taboo to bring it up in front of him. I don't have an impressive background as you do, Mr. Bennet, but I worked hard for everything I have today. Aaron was quiet. He had managed to cool down and gave some thought about what Isaac had just said. Go away. I can't be bothered to talk to someone like you. You don't even qualify to be my love rival. He thought even less of Isaac than that childish celebrity Ryan Rodriguez. At least Ryan had a decent character. He reflected on his raging temper at the beginning of their conversation and chastised himself for losing his cool like that. Aaron quietly turned his back against him and focused on the red light above the resuscitation room. Isaac could sense the contempt in Aaron's words, and he clenched his fists as he stared at the man's back. Mr. Bennet, you should be humbler. You might be thinking that I'm just pulling your leg about the fact that I am her fiancé, but the truth is the truth. Do you really think you know April? I bet you don't even know her real name. You might not even know her as well as your own brother, Richard. Aaron turned to look at him again. Never had he met anyone as loathsome as Isaac. What does Richard know? She really hasn't told you anything, has she? Are you sure she's dating you and not Richard? Isaac laughed sarcastically and backed up to lean against a wall. He remained silent after that. Aaron put up an aloof expression as he clenched his fists. He was full of questions and doubts, but he refused to seek answers from Isaac. Firstly, he didn't wish to hear things about April from this man. He would ask her himself later. Secondly, he found Isaac's eerie aura repulsive. Thirdly, he could tell that Isaac was truly concerned about April, and man to man, he could sense his worry. What was April's relationship to Isaac? What had Richard got to do with them? What were they all hiding from him? The more he thought about these, the angrier he got. It was the first time he felt like an outsider of April's life. Isaac wasn't budging. Aaron walked to the side and made a call to Marvin to arrange for April to be admitted into a VIP ward. One of the nurses brought over a fresh set of hospital gowns for April. Aaron handed the set of clothes to Winnie. "Put them on for her." He proceeded towards the door, and then he noticed that Isaac was still standing in the same spot. A surge of anger washed over Aaron, and he angrily said, "Didn't you hear what I just said? She's going to be changing April's clothes. Get out now." Episode 115. We're a couple. She pursued me. Isaac fixed his eyes on April and said, "Mr. Bennett, I'm not like you. I've seen every part of her body." He spoke in a careless tone, yet his words pierced into Aaron's heart like a needle. Aaron tightened his body and his face turned darker and darker. He couldn't even stand letting another man touch April's hand. Meanwhile, Isaac claimed that he had seen all of April's body. He knew that Isaac was just trying to piss him off, yet he couldn't help that it had worked. How could any other man see his woman's body? "Mr. Bennett, why are you looking at me like this? Isn't it normal for a man to do something with his fiancée?" Isaac lowered his eyes and said, "We're a couple. She pursued me." "You think that's something to show off?" Aaron laughed with anger and responded in a cold voice. "I don't know which part of your words is true and which is not. Neither do I know what exactly had happened between you two, but I do know that you were two-timing her and you trampled on a woman's shoulder to climb up to a higher place. However, you're not ashamed at all. On the contrary, you claim that April pursued you. Have you ever thought about giving her some respect? I hesitated a little earlier, but now I am sure that she definitely hates you. I let you stand here not because I respect you, but because you're not qualified to be my rival. Isaac, I know you've started some kind of movie and television base and made yourself famous in the film industry, but don't think I will be afraid of you for that. You're nothing." Isaac looked at Aaron's sudden face and said, "I surely know that I'm nothing in your eyes, Mr. Bennett, but I guess your family won't accept the fact that April has been engaged with someone else." He understood that if he stayed here, things might get ugly. He knew that he shouldn't offend Aaron, but he still wanted to say something to disgust him. He believed that it would certainly bother Aaron if he told him that his woman's body had been seen by some other man. Aaron was like a prince, and he was also a clean freak, so how could he possibly pretend to hear nothing about it? "I stayed because I'm worried about April. Since she's fine, I'll be leaving." After saying that, Isaac gave a meaningful glance at April, who was still in a deep sleep, then turned and left. He knew that if he stayed longer, he might really get into a fight with Aaron. Winnie hesitated shortly and then said, "Mr. Bennett, I think you better calm down right now. Isaac said that on purpose. He was trying to sow discord among you and April." "I know that. I didn't take his words seriously," Aaron responded with a cold voice, then closed the door heavily. Winnie was a little speechless. "If you didn't take his words seriously, why did you slam the door?" He walked a few feet away from the ward, then took out his phone and called Richard. As soon as the call was answered, he asked a question. "Where are you?" I'm in Lukesville," Richard stuttered. "What are you doing in Lukesville?" Aaron remembered that Lukesville was April's hometown. Was this a coincidence? "I have something to," said Richard. "About April?" he asked. Richard stayed silent. "Have you two been hiding something from me? Is she cheating on me with you?" Aaron asked angrily, then denied himself right afterward. "No, that's not possible. After all, I'm so much better than you, even in bed. There's no reason for anything to happen between you and her. Now tell me, what have you been hiding from me?" Richard was a little nervous and guilty at first, but after hearing what Aaron said, he started laughing. "Well, that's mean. Don't forget that part of your body that was handicapped for 6 to 7 years. How could you say you're even better than me in bed? Can't even last a second in bed." "April affirmed my endurance in bed. You won't understand," Aaron rebutted nonchalantly. "What? You've already hit a home run? I thought you only just started dating her." Richard stuttered in surprise. Aaron chuckled. "You don't need to hit a home run to know some things." Richard was baffled. "Did April use her hands to help you? Or her mouth? My God, I couldn't tell that she was so wild in bed." Aaron was blushing as he continued to grill him. This chap, I told him to lay off those rated R magazines and films. He's so full of dirty thoughts, Aaron thought. But the thought of being intimate with April made his heart race. He knew it wasn't time to be bantering about such things. Quit changing the topic. You haven't answered my question. I bumped into Isaac at Marianne's party today. The fuck? Isaac, that bastard? Richard cursed. Isaac made a scene to cause him to misunderstand April. Richard wondered if he caused a scene again. What'd he say? I'm asking the questions here, Aaron said with annoyance. He said that April was his fiancée, and he also said that you and April... Hey. April and I are in the clear. We're not up to anything, Richard stated clearly. He didn't expect Aaron to meet Isaac so soon. Seemed to him that the cat was out of the bag. April was Isaac's ex-fiancée. So he was telling the truth. Aaron felt a heavy weight resting on his chest as Richard confirmed his doubts. How could his woman be someone else's fiancée? He couldn't believe that she courted Isaac in the past. He wondered how far they had progressed till they had kissed, went to bed together. No matter how hard he tried to control his emotions, he was feeling angry and indignant as he paced around and kicked the wall with his foot. Across the barrier, Richard could hear his frustrated grunts and scuffle. He comforted him. Calm down, didn't you hear me? I said it was a thing of the past. Another thing you should prepare yourself before you hear this. April's real name is April Eisenberg. Her surname is Eisenberg. April Eisenberg? Aaron felt rage creeping up on him. She even hid her real name from him. Yeah, she's the daughter of Kenneth Eisenberg from the Eisenberg Group. Aaron was shocked. That girl? The daughter of that infamous federal criminal? Don't say that in front of April, please. I think she'll mind it. Richard sighed. She told me that her dad isn't a bad guy. She said that Isaac was the one who framed him. I've heard about the case myself when it was first reported. It was written in great detail in the newspapers and websites. Who knows? I guess nobody wishes to believe that their own father is like that. Aaron was silent. He didn't expect April to be of such a background. The daughter of Kenneth Eisenberg. No wonder she told him previously that her father was in jail and that his family would never approve of her. This was the reason why she held herself back from being with him. So April is that dumb girl I was talking about. The girl who let her fiancé steal her company, Aaron concluded. I think I remember you making some sort of remark like that, Richard replied. He thought about how amusing it is that Aaron had fallen in love with that dumb girl. Why did you wait until now to tell me all of this? How long have you kept this from me? Aaron felt incredulous that his good pal knew more about his girlfriend than he did. Was he really an outsider? Episode 116. Aaron was boiling with anger. The more Aaron thought about it, the more he wanted to throw Richard to Africa. That's a long story, actually. I found out about it just recently, Richard said with embarrassment. Earlier, Graham invited me to a poker party. I remember that I told you about it. Isaac was at the party too, and I was going to ask him some questions about the film company, but when I got there, I found that April was there too. Have they been keeping in touch? Aaron interrupted him. Did April really cheat on him? Richard rolled his eyes and continued, Can you let me finish? I don't know exactly what happened. Isaac somehow thought that I was with April, so in front of all these people, he humiliated her. He said that April seduced him and that she isn't a decent woman. I was pretty angry at that time because I thought that she fooled you. Later, April found me and explained it all to me. Turned out that Isaac had been giving her a hard time after taking the Eisenberg Group away from her. He forbade the whole film and television circle to hire April as a voice actor. She was desperate, and that's why she changed her name and left Lukesville. But earlier, Isaac found her in Rosewood City. He threatened to stop an online series that used April's voice from airing. April couldn't bear to let this happen, so she went to beg Isaac. The man said that he'd consider letting the online series air if she agreed to work for Osaria. Aaron was stunned. How can men like this even exist? He couldn't believe what he had heard. Isaac took away her family business, leaving her hopeless. Just now he told me, her boyfriend, that he's her fiancé, as if they hadn't forgotten each other. Who allowed him to do that? He did that? Richard was pretty speechless as well. April told me that Isaac hates her family. I guess he was trying to get between you and her. He's such a freak. He pulled some strings with that online series. It has passed the censorship. I asked some friends from the film industry, and they told me that Isaac didn't only ban April Eisenberg. He recently released a new message and banned a girl named April. No wonder I've never seen her take any voice acting job. Isaac has really gone too far. Aaron was boiling with anger. He couldn't believe that his woman had actually been abused like that. April is so silly. She should have told me about that earlier. How could I let anyone bully my woman like that? I guess she didn't want you to know that she's Kenneth Eisenberg's daughter. After all, she isn't proud of what her father did, said Richard. I came to Lukesville mostly to find out April's past. I was going to tell you after I got some results. What did you find? I went to her old school. She was really forced to leave. I heard from her schoolmate that she had excellent grades and that she started voice acting when she was little. She went to Japan as an exchange student. Added with the fact that she was pretty and capable, she was envied by quite some people. After her father went to prison, nearly the whole school knew about it. At first, the other students simply laughed at her and insulted her with language. Later on, she started getting attacked by the other girls in bathrooms. She was often locked in classrooms during winter nights, and some boys would bar her on the road and try touching her. The staff at the canteen wouldn't sell her food. Some professors wouldn't even allow her in their classrooms. Some people spread her photos online so she couldn't find a job. I think that's why she changed her name and came to Rosewood City. I guess she didn't tell others about her past because she didn't want to experience all that again. Aaron was shocked. He always saw April as a strong and independent woman. He couldn't imagine her shedding a single tear. She was different from those weak women he met in the past. He also couldn't imagine a girl being humiliated like that. He couldn't imagine April being beaten up in the toilet. He couldn't imagine her being trapped in a classroom shuddering from the cold. He couldn't imagine her being bullied by other boys. He was angry, and he felt a stinging pain in his heart. He felt sorry that she had to go through all these hardships. She didn't tell him any of these painful memories. She buried the pain and wore her scars beneath that beautiful exterior. He thought about how many times she had to hide her sorrow with a light smile. How could this woman be bullied? If only he knew her earlier. Also, Rosaria was her best friend who ended up betraying her with Isaac. I heard that she used to do voice acting too. April used to recommend her to production teams when she was doing well herself, but Rosaria backstabbed her by cheating with Isaac, Richard continued. Isaac, that scum, should be scraped from her life sooner, Aaron replied coldly. Rosaria? Good. He would remember that name. Yeah, no matter what kind of man April's father was, she didn't do anything wrong. It's quite unfair that she had to suffer like this, Richard said regretfully. I'll remember that man, Isaac. Oh yeah, how was April humiliated at the poker game? Aaron said before pausing. Well, speak. Aaron sounded harsh. Well, Max Urban splashed a glass of wine onto her because he thought that April was playing around with my feelings. That's why I haven't seen Max Urban in a while. Let's all hang out someday, Aaron said curtly before he hung up. Max. He'll remember that name too. He'll remember all of them. Back in the ward, Winnie had already changed April into a fresh set of clothes, and she was on the phone with someone. I just don't get it. Why would the platform suddenly collapse? Mid-sentence, she noticed Aaron walking into the room and quickly hung up. Who was it? Marianne? Aaron didn't say anything more. He walked up to the bed and looked at April, who was sound asleep. Her face was as white as a sheet. Her lips were pale and her face slightly gaunt. He didn't remember her to be so skinny. Was it because of Isaac? When he looked at him and got reminded of those typical scenes in television drama, he should be sitting by her bed and holding her hand in his by now. She excused herself and left him to be alone with April. She slowly backed away and tiptoed to the door before Aaron turned to look at her. How's April's relationship with Marianne? Winnie was stunned. Just tell it as it is. Marianne is just a distant relative, Aaron said coolly. Looking at his cold attitude towards the Flanders family, Winnie suddenly felt bad for Marianne. Marianne was flaunting her rich relatives when she mattered so little to them. Average, I guess. We're amicable roommates, friends, but April and I never considered her as a good friend. Why? She's from a different world from us. How should I put it? She's always looking down at us from her ivory tower. Episode 117. I hate April Eisenberg. Winnie paused slightly, then observed Aaron's expression. After confirming that he wasn't angry, she continued. She wouldn't allow her friends to be better than her. It's not like she's mean. We've been roommates for quite a long time, but she's generous to all of us. She always buys us food. I don't think she's the kind of person you can be good friends with, unless you're willing to follow her words and do whatever she wants all your life. Are you saying that she's narrow-minded and envious and likes to show off? Aaron said frankly. Well, Winnie choked on her own words. All right. No wonder this man can run a giant company. He grasped all the points and summed it up accurately. Okay, I get it. It's late. You should get back. Tomorrow, when you come here, please bring a few clothes for April. Aaron signaled for her to leave. Winnie was still a little worried. About Isaac, she said. I think you should talk first and don't fight. I won't fight him, Aaron interrupted her. Hearing him, Winnie nodded, walked out, and closed the door from the outside. After that, Aaron sat in the chair beside the bed, held April's hand with one hand, and called Sylvia with the other. What did you find? He asked. My colleagues are here. Just now they went down to the pool to check underwater. Nothing wrong was discovered for now, said Sylvia. How's Rill? Concussion. She'll do a CT scan tonight. Aaron wanted to kill Marianne. Have you questioned the staff who built the stage yet? Brother, do you really believe that someone tried to hurt Rill? Sylvia lowered her voice and said, I don't think that's possible. I've asked the staff who managed the stage about it, and they told me that the people who set up the stage today were late, so the time was too limited. Maybe they forgot to tighten one or two screws. Would the Flanders family ever hire such an unprofessional team to build the stage? Aaron sneered. Besides, if it's just a couple of screws, would the stage fall apart so quickly? Sylvia honestly didn't want to suspect her relatives, so she said, Brother, you mean... Maybe Marianne is jealous of Rill, so she tried to hurt her, Aaron said straightforwardly. Are you joking? Marianne and Rill are friends. Besides, she was supposed to go up to the stage after Rill. If she did that, she might have fallen into the water herself. She's envious. She's envious of April for being prettier and having a better voice than her. Even April's hair is more beautiful than hers. Aaron made it sound very reasonable. Sylvia was a little speechless. There's a lot of girls in the world who are prettier than Marianne, so how many people will she try to hurt then? Stop guessing around. You're not a cop. This was an accident. The Flanders family has admitted that this was their mistake, and they'll give real compensation. Accident? Aaron sneered again. My woman fell into the water like that and got hurt. I'll be unhappy about it, even if the Flanders family gave her all they had. What do you want, then? Aunt Flanders is our grandma's niece, after all, said Sylvia helplessly. I'm telling you, when you pushed Isaac away to give Rill artificial respiration, and when you carried her away in haste, our grandma was watching. She's been asking me about it after you left. I can tell she doesn't want you two to be together. Does it have anything to do with me? April is my girlfriend, not hers, Aaron responded blandly. You go capture the man who's responsible for building the stage. If his boss comes over, you can tell them that I'm going to sue their company, and I want a compensation of $5 million for my girlfriend. Aren't you charging a little too high? Sylvia was trying to persuade her brother. As a police officer, she was always the most afraid of victims with family members that sued for large sums of money. Her brother was that kind of family member. They should have known that she was my girlfriend. Do you know how rich your brother is? As my girlfriend, April is worth at least $10 million. Her forehead is injured from the accident. What if it leaves a scar in the future? I'm already being merciful by asking for $5 million. Aaron hung up after that. After sighing, he turned behind and looked April straight in the eye. She had woken up while he was on the phone. So I'm going to be a millionaire from this accident? April gave him a weak smile. Aaron couldn't bring himself to smile at her. He slammed his phone onto the bedside table and looked at her sternly. Yes, April Eisenberg, you are going to be a millionaire. You traded all of this with your own life. Her smile on her pale face froze, and she instinctively clutched the white sheets in her fists. After a minute, she said hoarsely, You know everything now? How did he find out? She willed herself to recall the series of events. She remembered seeing Isaac while she was in the pool. When she was pulled out of the water, she vaguely remembered seeing Isaac again, then Aaron, but her memory was fuzzy. Did Isaac tell you that I'm April Eisenberg? She hazarded a guess. He told me some bits. He said that you were his fiancée. Were you really? Aaron stared at her. Rubbish. April was shaking, and she was slightly flushed from rage. I used to be, but I'm not related to him in any way now. Aaron felt a wave of relief, although he felt protective over her. He was still angry at the fact that she hid these things from him. I heard about the rest from Richard. I kind of know what you went through, April. I know you kept your past from me out of your concern about our relationship. But don't you think it's too much that you shared more about yourself with my good pal than me? Am I such a superficial person in your opinion that I would leave you in view of your history? I know you won't, but April gave a helpless smile. How could I bring myself to tell you that I'm Kenneth Eisenberg's daughter? Tell you that my father is a lowly criminal? I remember I told you before that you are not to find what your parents did. But I can't speak of my father that way. In my eyes, he's a good person. I lost my mother when I was young, and my father was there for me all along. He taught me my values. He took meticulous care of me. I don't even have the cheek to admit that I am April Eisenberg. Erin was stunned. April was clutching her jaw. She could feel herself choking up. No matter how much time had passed, it always made her heart ache to talk about her past again. If I hadn't fallen in love with Isaac and brought him to see my dad, if I didn't insist on my engagement with him, my dad wouldn't have landed in jail. You might not believe me, but my father was fiercely protective of his students. He told me that he always felt a sense of pride when he watched his students graduate with flying colors. That was the kind of man he was. But Isaac testified against him in court and accused him of indecency acts against his students. I was in so much pain. I was the one who put him in such a position. I hate myself. Why was I so blind? I don't want to be April Eisenberg. I hate April Eisenberg. Episode 118. Are you still mad at me? She could no longer stop her tears from gushing out of her eyes. Ever since her father went to prison, no one had really cared for her. She had been quietly suffering all the pain alone. And now the painful feeling that she had been trying to keep inside herself finally exploded. Aaron was going to be angry, but seeing her cry, his feelings turned complicated. He frowned and handed her a tissue. She covered her eyes with it, and soon it was soaked in tears. After my father went to prison, she continued, the company's share price fell drastically. I got into the company, but I had lived under my father's protection since I was little. I focused on my voice acting and knew nothing about the company. Once I got in, the other shareholders turned against me. They asked me to leave. They said that my dad was bringing the company down. I asked my dad's friends for help. They pretended to help me, but in fact, they'd all taken Isaac's money. They lied to me, and I gave them all my shares. I was so stupid. I had nothing left. No house, no car. I gave Isaac what he wanted. I gave him all my family had. I hate April Eisenberg. I've even wanted to kill myself. All right, stop talking. I get it. Aaron couldn't bear listening to her anymore. Richard had told him that she had suffered some harm, yet he didn't know what she was thinking back then. Now he had figured it out. She guilted herself. He sat on the bed, reached out a hand, and gently pulled her into his arms. April buried her face in his chest, cried, and shivered. Soon he felt that his shirt was wetted. He caressed her hair, his eyes unmoving. He told himself that he would make Isaac pay for what he had done to her. Isaac looked like a decent man, yet in fact he had shamelessly hurt a woman. What made Aaron feel more intolerable was that Isaac even claimed to be April's fiancé before his face. I was too nice, thought Aaron. I should have punched him in the face. You do have weird taste. As April slowly calmed down in his arms, he said sullenly, You liked him and now you like me. I feel like I'm being lowered by him. It's like I'm a freak too. Mr. Bennett, you're really a freak, thought April. April was already sad. Hearing Aaron's words, she wanted to cry again. Yeah, why do I always like freaks? No, Isaac is a bad man, April corrected Aaron while sobbing. Then silently she added, You're a freak. Aaron sighed, said, Fortunately I knew that you are poor in taste since long ago. I saved you from your poor taste. If it wasn't for me, you might be hurt again by some other bad guy in the future. Yeah, you saved me. April had never met someone else who would try to comfort others like that. She smiled through tears, looked at him with her red eyes, and asked, Are you still mad at me? Her words reminded him of something, so his handsome face turned dark again as he said, I am. You called Isaac's name when you were dragged out of the water. Do you still like him? And he let go of her, then stood up and circled in the ward with an extremely sour face. Did I? April gave a start. After thinking back carefully, she said, I think I saw Isaac's face through the water. I thought he saved me, so... You're right. He did save you. Aaron was now angry at himself. Why did he sit so far away from her back then? If he was closer to her, he would be able to save her, and she would call his name. April looked dazed before laughing helplessly. I didn't expect him to save me. He probably just wants to torture me more. Come on, don't be mad at me anymore. I really don't fancy him at all. She reached out for his arm and flung it back. She could tell that Aaron wasn't convinced, and she began to worry. Have you stopped liking me? After you found out that I'm Kenneth Eisenberg's daughter? Haven't I already told you? I don't care about this. Aaron looked at her and said coldly, Am I such a superficial guy? I care more about... He wanted to know which stage she progressed to with Isaac. He cared about whether she went to bed with him, whether he saw her body. He wanted to slaughter him just thinking about it. He kept his virginity till now, but young girls nowadays... She was engaged to Isaac at a young age of 22. She didn't even know him since they were children, like in Sylvia's case. He didn't blame her, though. He knew it wasn't her fault that she met such a scumbag. Then what do you care about? April looked at him and said. She found it unsettling that he was beating around the bush. He was always straightforward with his words. Did Isaac say other things? No. Aaron plopped himself into the chair willfully. Oh yes, don't speak to me. We're still fighting. April was laughing hysterically. She reached out to hold his hand and said coyly, I am a patient. I nearly lost my life back there in the pool. I'm still feeling very giddy. I haven't even had dinner. I'm famished. Aaron pulled back from her grasp and pulled out his phone without even looking at April in her eye. He dialed Marvin's number. Come over quickly. Buy the patient here a meal from the cupola. It'll be a good nutrition for her. He hung up and continued to ignore her. April couldn't help but smile. He was obviously angry with her, but he still cared enough to buy the best food for her. Although she had never been to the cupola, she had heard about their food and their pricey menu. She looked over affectionately at the man who still had his lips pursed and felt a gush of warmth wash over her heart. She felt comforted and at peace, relieved as well. Lucky he didn't leave her after finding out the truth. Lucky he wasn't angry with her for hiding the truth from him. Lucky he still wanted to seek revenge on her behalf. Why hadn't she met him sooner? Why was she so misled and blinded to love someone like Isaac? If she could turn back time, she would have had a decent family background, a father she was proud of. She could have been worthy of him. His grandma was there tonight. April wondered if his grandmother had picked up anything. They probably wouldn't approve of her. She was overwhelmed with doubt and anxiety suddenly and felt the room spinning around her. She slowly let her eyelids fall and she felt her limbs go weak. She felt a warm hand being placed on her forehead. She smiled and opened her eyes, looking straight into his black pupils. I don't have a fever. April held on to his hands. Aaron grunted resentfully and said, Don't touch me, I'm still angry. With that, he took his seat on the chair again and crossed his arms. April was speechless. She never met anyone who announced that they were throwing a fit. But why did she find him so adorable? She was starting to like him more and more. She let her eyes close again and fell into a deep slumber. When she woke up again, Marvin was there and Aaron was unpacking the food and arranging them on the bedside table. Episode 119. You're Not Mad. Ms. April, you're awake. Marvin noticed it first. The food is ready. All right. April supported her body with her arms and sat up with a lot of effort. The meal was exaggeratedly rich. Even the rice was covered in beef shreds. Ms. April, if you don't want rice, I can recommend you this millet soup with sea cucumber. It's not bad. You can also have some bird's nest soup. Marvin introduced the food. You don't have to order me such a rich meal. I can just have some normal food. April looked at Aaron and said, I assume you haven't had dinner either? Let's eat together. Aaron turned to Marvin and said to him, You tell her that I had dinner before she woke up. Both April and Marvin were speechless. Without any other choice, April started eating alone. A while later, Aaron said to Marvin, You tell her, don't just eat the congee. Try the fishball soup, too. The corners of Marvin's mouth twitched slightly. Mr. Bennett, Miss April is sitting right beside you. Can't you speak to her yourself? Marvin didn't understand why he was even there. Aaron and April weren't acting like a couple at all. We're fighting, Aaron said blandly. April nearly spat out some soup. Who's fighting you? You're just sulking. Mr. Bennett, Miss April is injured. You should be nice to her. Why are you fighting a patient? Marvin tried to convince him. He felt like he was getting driven crazy by his boss again. You're not mad. You just don't want to admit that you want to hear some nice words. It's written on your face. I am nice, so I'm sitting here, Aaron said expressionlessly. He believed that no one understood how unhappy he was right now. Marvin didn't know how to respond. Before he considered his boss a wise man, but now he found that Mr. Bennett was becoming more and more childish ever since he got in a relationship. Mr. Marvin, thank you for delivering the meal. You can leave if you want. April smiled and said, All right, I'll be going then. Boss, call me if you need anything. Marvin felt that he should leave as soon as possible so his boss and his boss's girlfriend could figure out a way to make peace. After Marvin left, April finished the meal and then looked at Erin pitifully and said, I'm thirsty. Erin silently poured her a glass of water and put it on the table. My hands are powerless, so I need you to help me. April blinked her eyes. If your hands are powerless, how did you feed yourself just now? Asked Erin. You majored in broadcasting, but you can act too. Your head is hurt, not your hands. April clenched her teeth, feeling that he wasn't gentle. I used up all my strength just now. I'm still dizzy, she said. She pretended to suffer from dizziness. Seeing that, Erin hurriedly held her. He sat on the bed, picked up the glass, and prepared to give her some water. But suddenly April brought herself into his arms and put her arms around his waist. Please, don't be angry, she said with a sweet and soft voice. I know you care about me. You were making me feel insecure just now. You made me worry if you were still mad because I lied to you. She rarely took such initiative. Looking at her delicate face, Erin's heart raced a little. He lowered his head with a complicated feeling, and then her cold lips landed on his. His heart missed a beat. He looked at her, and his pupils shrank. She also widened her eyes to look at him. Her eyelashes were shaking slightly like feathers. No reaction? Confusedly and boldly, she explored his mouth with her tongue and put her arms around his neck. She was wearing a loose hospital gown, and when she raised her arms, the collar slipped off just slightly, such that her shoulders were exposed. His neck was in direct contact with her. The two of them were intertwined scandalously, and it was hard to describe it with words. The more Erin tried to steady himself, the more he couldn't control the blood gushing up his face, and his cheeks were bright pink. What a little vixen. He knew that she was only acting like a prude, and she was finally showing her true colors to him. He knew she was coy, too. He loved how coquettish she was. Erin couldn't hold himself back any longer and put down the cup on the table. His arms encircled her waist with his strong arms and kissed her back with a feverish passion. Isaac must have kissed her like this in the past. I must make her remember my kisses. Only mine, Erin thought to himself. April was originally in control and kept a good pace. Now she felt as if she was swept into a whirlwind and he was taking over the wheel. As he held her in his arms and kissed her fervently and lustfully, she felt her dizziness recur. This time it was even worse than before. She had difficulty breathing and felt suffocated. Suddenly her mind went blank and she collapsed limply into him. Erin was shocked and hugged her tightly. Her complexion was sickly pale and her eyes were shut. April? Apricot? He called out her name anxiously. When she was unresponsive, he quickly laid her down on the bed and pressed the call button by the bedside. He impatiently stormed out of the room before any healthcare professional could respond. The moment he stepped out of the room, he saw a male doctor hurrying towards him. Your efficiency is too low. Why did you wait so long before coming to see the patient? Erin was panic-stricken and said harshly, It's only been about 10 seconds since you pressed the call button. I hurried over immediately when I saw the alert, the doctor said indignantly. He didn't dare to argue any further as he had heard about Erin's social status. Cut the bullshit. She passed out suddenly. Erin pulled the doctor by his arm and led towards the ward. That's unusual. What was the patient doing before she passed out? The doctor asked seriously. We were kissing. The doctor stumbled and almost tripped on his own feet. How was the kiss so intense that she just fainted? When he entered the room, the doctor pulled out his stethoscope and April opened her eyes weakly. Apricot, you're awake? Erin rushed forward to hold her hand and breathed a sigh of relief. You gave me such a scare right now. April recalled what had just happened and her pretty face was colored red instantly. She'd actually passed out from a kiss? She'd never felt more embarrassed than that moment and wanted to cover herself with her sheets. It was all his fault. Why did he have to kiss her so hard? She couldn't even catch her breath in between. She shouldn't have pacified him. Hopefully the doctor didn't know what happened. The doctor awkwardly did an electrocardiogram for her and cleared his throat. Mr. Bennett, your girlfriend suffered from a high-impact head injury and resulting in secondary brain concussion. She should be given proper rest and should not be partaking in any vigorous activities. Even kissing could cause further injury to her brain. That's why she fainted momentarily. April pulled up her sheet slowly and covered half of her face. She wished so badly to be discharged right away and never see this doctor again. Really, it was humiliating. Will she become the joke of the town amongst the doctors here? I understand. Erin nodded his head and asked again, Why didn't you tell me this earlier? Episode 120. You were the only one who slept in my bed in the first place. The doctor didn't know what to say. How could that be his fault? He'd been a doctor for tens of years, but what happened just now was new to him. However, facing the rich and powerful Aaron, the doctor had no choice but to apologize. My apologies, Mr. Bennett. I didn't explain well enough. Well, you can leave now. I'll call you if we need you, Aaron responded blandly while pointing his chin at the door. After the doctor left, April picked up the pillow to hit Aaron angrily and shyly. Aaron abruptly turned back, frowned, and started complaining. You know you had a concussion, but you still risked your health to seduce me. Now what, you blacked out? You're not allowed to do that again. April blushed with anger. She put down the pillow because hitting him with a pillow wasn't enough to channel her anger. She wanted to hit him with a brick. How could he blame her when he was to be blamed and make his words sound so reasonable? Would I have blacked out if you didn't kiss me so violently? You wouldn't even give me a chance to breathe, she said. How could that be violent? You lured me into this deep kiss. Aaron glanced at her gently and helplessly and then said, You had a fiancé, but your kissing skills are so lame. It seems that Isaac really is incapable. You've never French kissed with him, have you? Well, why don't you know how to breathe in a kiss? I'm done talking. Don't talk to me or I'll never kiss you again. April was so angry that she turned away and refused to continue the conversation. If she kept talking with him, she would definitely black out again because of anger. I'm just saying, how can you get mad so easily? You're not a child, Aaron said while cleaning the table for her. Never mind, I'm older than you, so I'll tolerate you. April was speechless. Tolerate what? I don't want your tolerance. She closed her eyes, hearing Aaron pacing in the ward. When the footsteps finally stopped, she heard some other noises from the bedside. April pretended to be asleep for 5 minutes, then turned to find that Aaron was peeling a kiwi with his hands, head lowered. He peeled so unskillfully that quite some pulp was peeled off. When he was finished peeling, the small kiwi had become fragmentary. He stared at it for a short while and then abruptly lowered his head and ate it. April was speechless. After finishing the kiwi, Aaron took another one and started peeling it. I'm a patient. Shouldn't you peel one for me? April felt lucky that she didn't have a heart disease, because if she did, she would have died 100 times because of how angry Aaron made her. I wanted to give you a pretty one. The ones I peeled earlier were all too ugly, and there was not much pulp left. Aaron knitted his beautiful eyebrows together and said, Marvin is really not good at selecting fruits. These kiwis are too small and too soft. It's because you don't know how to peel them. Why are you blaming Marvin? Sighing silently, April said, In that case, I don't think I'll be able to eat any kiwi, even after you've peeled the whole bag full of them. Since you don't mind, I'll give you this peeled one. Aaron nodded and handed her the peeled kiwi. April looked at the awfully peeled kiwi and then silently ate it. I'll call the nurse to wheel you to get a CT scan. It's about time. Aaron stood up and called the nurse. At 11 o'clock at night, April washed herself and lay back in bed. Soon her whole body started to feel hot. It made her so uncomfortable that she couldn't even lift her eyelids. April opened her eyelids groggily as she felt the sharp prick of the cannula. Only then did she notice Aaron sitting by the bed. You're running a fever. They're giving you some fluids now. Catch some sleep. I'll keep an eye on you. He cupped her icy hands in his own, his eyes exuding warmth and love for her. April's heavy eyelids fell shut. In her confusion, she vaguely recalled how Isaac took everything from the Eisenberg family, leaving her with nothing and her health in shambles. She once ran a persistent fever for days, even fainting without anyone by her side, forcing her to drag herself to the emergency department for a drip. She was on drips for 5 hours straight without anyone delivering food to her. She had had to even suffer silently with her gastritis. Thinking about what happened then, she found it fascinating that she managed to pull through those difficult times. Now, she had him by her side. She was reassured. She mustered up all her strength to give his hands a little squeeze. A single tear rolled down the side of her cheek. Aaron watched the tear wet the pillow she was lying on and gently wiped it away. However, he found it hard to control his jealousy and anger when he thought about April's history with Isaac. He knew how much hardship she had been through, and he couldn't bear to make things any more difficult. All he wanted to do now was to protect her and never let anyone else hurt her again. Sunday morning, the morning glow of the sun flooded the windows of Rosewood City. The curtains in the hospital ward danced with the light breeze. April felt as if a giant heat pack had been placed beside her, continuously radiating warmth, leaving her feeling toasty and cozy. She turned over to wrap her arms around the giant heat pack, only that it did not feel like a giant heat pack, and there seemed to be something pressing against her abdomen. Her eyes snapped open. A ludicrously handsome face appeared in front of her. Aaron was in deep slumber, a growing ring of dark circles starting to form under his eyes. His luscious eyebrows and soft lips reminded her of a young boy's. She was not in the mood for adoration, however. This was the first time she had shared a bed with and slept in the arms of a grown man, especially with his groin pressed up against her. Her mind was buzzing. She blinked her eyes rapidly and pushed Aaron aside with a loud yelp. Aaron startled awake as he fell from the edge of the bed onto the floor with a loud thud. April was still in a daze. After a couple of seconds, Aaron pulled himself to his feet angrily and said between gritted teeth, "April!" She looked at his crotch dizzily. Aaron followed her gaze. His lips curled into a smile. "Has it been too long since the last time? Must be familiar to you." "Familiar my ass," April cursed, flustered and embarrassed. Even though she had seen his erection before when she used to bathe him, she was not his girlfriend then, and she had not thought more of it. Now, however, things were different. Just at the sight of his bulge, she only wanted to dig herself a hole and hide. Yet Aaron seemed to show not a single hint of embarrassment. "I don't like vulgar women," Aaron retorted. April took a few deep breaths and said between gritted teeth, "You were the one who slept in my bed in the first place. Were you trying to take advantage of me while I was ill?" "I was planning to sleep on the sofa, but it's not long enough for me. I'd wake up with a sore back," Aaron said nonchalantly. Episode 121. You crawled into my arms and took advantage of me, yet you're blaming me. "You can sleep in the other room. This is a suite and there's a bed in there," said April. At first she felt a little guilty for accidentally pushing him off the bed, but now that feeling was gone. He definitely slept on her bed on purpose. "You had a fever yesterday, so I couldn't leave you to sleep in this room alone. I thought about it and felt that sleeping with you was the best solution, as I can observe your condition at any moment." Aaron gave a reasonable explanation with a serious look. "Besides, even though I slept in your bed, I've kept a distance from you. You crawled into my arms and took advantage of me, yet you're blaming me now." April's face and neck turned crimson with anger. She wanted to scratch Aaron. She highly doubted he would accuse her of assault if they actually had sex. "Why do I want to kill him so much right now?" "It's all right. You're a patient, so I'll forgive you. I need to go to the bathroom. I can't stay like this," he said. April felt like a punching bag full of cotton as she made an effort to get herself mad. But what is he going to do in the bathroom? He's not gonna... Is he? April blushed as she started to imagine things. She wanted to find her phone and see the time, but then she remembered that her phone was left in the Flanders family household. The doctor walked in and measured her blood pressure and body temperature. Only after that did Aaron walk out of the bathroom. "You spent a long time in there." April threw a sarcastic glance at him and said, "I thought you fell into the toilet." "It's not the first time that you learned about my great sexual endurance," he said, glancing at her proudly. She wanted to bite her own tongue off. How could she possibly know about that? She did nothing but work for him for a while as a carer. He made it sound like she was his sexual partner. Abruptly, the door sounded with a knock. Aaron opened the door and saw Winnie, Annie, Marianne, and her mother, Kathy Flanders. Winnie brought April's clothes and the breakfast. Marianne was holding a bunch of flowers, and Diane was carrying some fruits and some nutritious food. Aaron instantly frowned. His eyes showed an unfriendly look. "Mr. Bennett, they wanted to visit April, so we came together," Winnie said helplessly. "Aaron, we're here to visit Ms. April." Diane smiled and raised the things carrying in her hand. Aaron looked at them with a dark face, remaining silent. Annie edged into the room ahead of the others, saying, "Rill, we're here to see you. Can you get out of the hospital today?" "The doctor says that I can leave this afternoon after I'm finished with the transfusion," April said. She sat up and smiled. Seeing the others, she nodded and continued, "Mrs. Flanders." "Ms. April?" Diane put the fruits and the food on the table and then said apologetically, "I should have come to visit you last night, but there were so many guests. After the accident, I was busy seeing them off. The people who built the stage were too careless. You were the MC of Marianne's birthday party, so our family should be responsible for this. I've brought you some fruits and food, and this here is a little gift from our family." While speaking, Diane reached her hand towards April's, trying to put a bank card into her hand. However, Aaron didn't let her. "Auntie, do you think you can end this with a bank card?" Aaron looked at her coldly. Under his gaze, Diane quivered slightly and then said, "Aaron, what else do you expect us to do? Your grandma was asking me about your relationship with Miss April yesterday." "Yeah, Aaron, when did you and Rill meet?" Marianne interrupted, grinning. "Rill, you must not have remembered. Brother Aaron administered mouth-to-mouth on you when you passed out yesterday." "She's my girlfriend. There's nothing out of the ordinary about mouth-to-mouth, is there?" Aaron said. The word girlfriend caught Diane and the rest off guard. "Girlfriend?" Marianne's smile faded. She could tell that Aaron was worried about April, but seeing him wearing the same clothes from last night, she found it hard to believe that the two of them had come this far in their relationship. After all, how could a perfectionist and vile-mouthed man like Aaron possibly fall in love with someone as ordinary as April? Yes, my girlfriend. My girlfriend fell into a swimming pool while hosting a birthday party for you. Did you think buying us gifts and writing a card would be sufficient? Marianne could feel the chill of Aaron's sharp, piercing gaze. Marianne's shoulders fell. She quickly turned towards April and begged, "Real, please explain to Brother Aaron. I didn't mean it. It was really an accident." April knitted her eyebrows and opened her mouth, but Aaron spoke out coldly. "I hope it was an accident, too. If it ever comes to my knowledge that it was not accidental, I'll never let the culprit off." Marianne shivered. Diane was displeased. "Aaron, what are you saying? Are you accusing Marianne of trying to hurt Miss April? They're good friends, you know. Not only do your accusations jeopardize their friendship, they're also inconsiderate to my feelings." "I didn't say anything like that. You all brought it up by yourselves." Aaron looked impatient. "Auntie, don't blame me for my speculations. April is just too pretty, too clever, and too kind-hearted. She's surrounded by people who envy her, and Marianne could be just one of them acting out of her jealousy." April's face turned red with embarrassment. Aaron was normally only full of praise for himself, but she did not think herself deserving of all these compliments as well. Glancing furtively at Marianne, April could see tears of indignance welling up in her eyes. Diane's face looked grim. "Aaron, even if you're trying to defend your girlfriend, there's no need to speak so badly about your sister. Although she's not Sylvia, we're still family." "Have I spoken badly? It's just the truth." Aaron glanced at Marianne nonchalantly. "I'm not saying that she's ugly or that she has poor grades. It's just that, compared to April, she's still lacking in many ways." April covered her face with her hands. She felt that Aaron was only inciting more resentment against her with every word he said. "All right, Mrs. Flanders. Marianne, don't listen to his nonsense. He's only in a bad mood because I got hurt. I'm more than grateful for you all coming to the hospital to visit me. There's no need for any compensation. Aaron will be pressing charges against the company which set up the platform." "Yes, we're going to make sure they'll go bankrupt," Aaron said coldly. Marianne forced a laugh. "There's no need to be so harsh, right?" "Harsh?" Aaron uttered sarcastically. "April fell into the deepest part of the pool and even got pushed down by the heavy planks which fell onto her. If not for timely rescue, she would have drowned right there and then. So if you think it's not harsh enough, why don't I throw you into the pool for a taste?" Episode 122. Don't Go Too Far. "All right, I was wrong. I think we should really thank Mr. Davidson." Marianne paused for a moment and then gave April a meaningful glance and continued. "Aaron reminded me. It was indeed a little dangerous yesterday. After all, it was cold and the planks were heavy. When Rill fell into the water, Mr. Davidson jumped in without thinking. He looked so worried back then, even more nervous than earlier when his girlfriend fell into the water. Maybe he's caught a cold or even had a fever too." Hearing her, April paused briefly. Aaron gave an icy cold smile and then said, "Marianne, I heard that you've signed a contract with Alstair Roberts Record Company. That you're going to become a singer? I think you need to go back to school and continue practicing your voice. You're just not good enough yet. I'll tell Alstair Roberts to postpone your album." Marianne froze when hearing his words. Kathy took a deep breath and then said through clenched teeth, "Aaron, don't go too far. Marianne never offended you." "Auntie, why do you say that?" "I'm doing it for her own good. She's really not good enough. I'm afraid that if she becomes a singer, people will think that anyone who can sing a few songs can become a singer. I think that might bring a negative influence to some underage people. I believe that if you want to become a public figure, you need to be capable enough." After saying that, Aaron sat down and continued blandly, "Auntie, you can leave now. April has a concussion. She needs to rest." "All right, you're the successor of YCC. You're in a higher place than the others, so you always win. But Aaron, I'm telling you, your grandma is still alive, so you shouldn't push us too far," Kathy said tremblingly, then left with Marianne. Annie looked around. Once opening her mouth, she saw Aaron's awfully cold eyes, so the words that escaped her mouth became, "Then, Rill, since you're getting out of the hospital today, I'll leave now. I'll talk to you later at the dorm." After she finished talking, she left immediately. April was a little ashamed. Annie loved to make friends with rich people, but even she was scared away. How scary was Aaron just now? "Rill? Mr. Bennett, my apologies. I wasn't going to tell them your room number. Annie just wouldn't give up asking me that last night, so I told her, but I didn't know that she told Marianne," Winnie explained. "It's all right," April said, then turned to Aaron. "You were so unfriendly just now. If Mrs. Flanders told your grandma about that, your grandma would blame me instead of you." Do I need to be afraid of the Flanders family? They're just relying on my grandfather to survive, said Aaron with a dark face. Besides, don't you suspect Marianne? April rubbed her forehead. Of course, she suspected Marianne. If it wasn't for Marianne's grandma, April would have asked her directly just now. I don't have any proof, she said. You're from the music department too, aren't you? Aaron raised his eyebrows and turned to Winnie. Winnie nodded bewilderedly. Great, you're in the same department. And if you're roommates, you can also get signed by Star Music and Culture. You can release your album before her and become popular. She's so proud she'll feel pain. I'll tell Marvin to talk to Alistair Roberts. He has to make you a star. While speaking, Aaron took out his phone. Winnie didn't know what to say. April was shocked. She could imagine how infuriated someone as prideful as Marianne would be if she found out about this. Why does Marianne get on your nerves so easily? Aaron looked at her expressionlessly. He reached for his hand phone and left to make a call. Winnie recovered from his momentary daze after hearing about the good news. Blinking, she said, I think I have to thank you and Marianne properly. If not for Marianne provoking Mr. Bennet with his pet peeve, I might never have had this chance. Upon hearing this, April was a little envious. Being his girlfriend, he had never put in a good word or sought benefits for her. She had to rely on herself. Pet peeve? Isaac? Winnie glanced at her. Can't you tell that Marianne deliberately brought up the whole incident with Isaac just to put Mr. Bennet off? Well, now she got a taste of her own medicine. April was stunned. Winnie looked outside for a moment and whispered, While you were unconscious, Isaac said many infuriating things. He said that of your body. He's seen all there is to see, and being his fiancé, the both of you have done what's to be done. April's eyes widened. She suddenly understood why yesterday Aaron seemed as if he wanted to say something while he was enraged, but he must have wanted to ask her if she and Isaac have ever been involved sexually. She never imagined Isaac to be so despicable and shameless. He must have wanted to sow seeds of resentment within Aaron's mind. Although Aaron could suppress his emotions for the time being, this would certainly leave an indelible mark, being the egoistic person that he was. With time, the seeds of resentment would only grow larger, eventually growing into a towering tree of hatred. Fortunately, Winnie told her the truth. Win, thank you so much for telling me, April said, brimming with gratitude. You said you were planning to move out at the end of the year. I shall look for an apartment near the school once I'm discharged. Do you suspect that Marianne was involved in this? Winnie whispered. I can't say for sure. I just think that it's all been too coincidental. Also, I've been getting closer to Ryan. Marianne might be holding a grudge against me. Furthermore, I've come to realize after the incident on her birthday that she's never treated us as friends in the first place. April never forgot how Marianne made her apologize to Rosaria, even when it was not her fault. All right, let's move out together. I'll look for an apartment. Oh yes, your phone. I brought it over from Marianne's house. Aaron came back in as Winnie finished her sentence. She stood up hurriedly. I'll go soon. I won't trouble the two of you any longer. Give me a call once you're discharged. Before she left, Aaron reminded her, I've talked to Marvin. She'll take you to Herald Culture to sign the contract. Mr. Bennet, thank you, Winnie said earnestly. Don't mention it. You're my means to an end. I told Mr. Roberts to appraise you in the shortest time possible. I can't wait to see Marianne do nothing but look on helplessly in tortured envy. Aaron chuckled coldly. Winnie looked at April quietly. Truly, it was not wise to provoke Mr. Bennet. He was too capable of making life a torture for others. I'm a little envious of Winnie now. After Winnie left, April sighed. I'm your girlfriend, but I have yet to be appraised. You've left me to struggle on my own. Episode 123. His woman was still pure, just like him. Because you're my girlfriend, I need to be responsible for you. Aaron looked at her seriously and said, if you really love voice acting, you need to rely on your own efforts, and you need to be responsible for yourself as well. Some people rely on their backgrounds and give up making an effort. As for Winnie, if what I did ruined her, just let her be ruined. I don't really care for her. April didn't know how to respond. As he talked really honestly, fortunately, Winnie had left. If she heard what he had said, she would be infuriated. Yesterday you were trying to ask me if I slept with Isaac, she stuttered. Once she finished the question, the look in Aaron's eyes turned dark. Stop it, he glared at her, sounding a little panicked. April looked at him in the eyes and then suddenly chuckled and asked, What are you afraid of? April, that's enough. Aaron's expression changed as he growled at her. God knew how cruelly this question had been torturing him since yesterday. He was trying to avoid thinking about it, but she just brought it up. You really don't want to know? April smiled like a little fox. Aaron wanted the answer, but said nothing. He had doubts. She and Isaac had engaged, so how could they not have sex? He had only been her boyfriend for 2 days, but he already wanted to drag her into a bed and eat her alive. Looking at him, April sighed and then got out of the bed, walked to him and gently hugged him. She bit her lip, chuckled, and said, I didn't sleep with him. Don't imagine things just because of what Isaac said. He's the best at making up stories. You really didn't? Erin paused and asked. No. Since I was little, my dad taught me that girls need to protect themselves. Regarding these kinds of things, I'm kind of old school. April sighed. That was the only thing that made her feel grateful about her relationship with Isaac. Well, thankfully you didn't do that with him. He looks like a sexually dysfunctional patient. Erin rubbed April's face, eyes showing happiness and his lips curved into a big smile. His woman still has her virginity, just like him. It was so great. April was speechless. How do you know that? Are you familiar with him? She asked. I would never be familiar with sneaky men. Erin wore a scornful look and said, Squeamish-looking men like him do look sexually dysfunctional. If you need a boyfriend, you'll need someone like me who can provide you with the best endurance and explosive power. April wanted to record his words. One day, if he turned out to be not so good in bed, she would humiliate him to death with the recording. I've talked with Sister Emily. She'll go to your dorm room to collect your things and then bring them to Bennett Mansion. You'll move into the villa this afternoon to heal. Erin said, eyes brightening. You haven't recovered yet. I can't let you go back to live in your dorm room, especially not with Marianne. Now she knows that you're my girlfriend, so she'll definitely try to tear us apart. I can stay in the villa for a few days, but the villa is too far away from our school and I'll be spending too much time on the road, she said. You're right, though, he said, putting an arm around her. After a short while of thinking, he continued, I'll buy a duplex near your school, then we can live together. I'll let Sister Emily come take care of us. I don't remember saying that I was going to live together with you. Winnie and I have decided to rent a flat together near our school. Erin let go of her and frowned. You'd rather move in with Winnie instead of me. Am I less important to you than Winnie? I've only dated you for a few days and you already want me to move in with you? I did not even cohabit with Isaac when I was engaged with him. Furthermore, if I was the type to move in casually with any man I meet, I would definitely have slept with other men before meeting you. April said solemnly, Erin, I hope you can respect me. All right. Admitting that she was right, Erin said, Then when will you move in with me? After marriage? Sure, let's get married after graduation next year. Stunned, April pried herself free of his arms. That's too fast. I'm still so young. I don't want to marry so soon. Although I'm young too, I just want to get in bed with you sooner. In that case, I can only do so respectfully by marrying you earlier. Erin picked up her hand and brought it to his lips indignantly, giving it a peck. His face remained straight without a hint of emotion. April's face started to glow red in exasperation. She had never met anyone who treated the topic so nonchalantly and straightforwardly. Furthermore, he was being unrealistic. Would his family agree to the marriage? At the hospital car park, Kathy opened the door of the Porsche. She slammed the door shut after getting in and looked at Marianne, who was in the co-driver's seat, with a piercing gaze. Tell me the truth. Did April's accident at the pool have anything to do with you? Mom! Marianne grasped at Kathy's sleeves desperately. You need to help me. The people from the event planning company cannot speak a word about this. You really? Kathy was infuriated, jabbing her finger on Marianne's forehead. Isn't she your friend? Don't you know you nearly got someone killed? What friend? I don't have friends as poor as she is, said Marianne, curling her lips. I wasn't planning to put her in danger. I just got the people setting up the stage to help me out, and I only wanted Ryan to see April in her unglamorous state, falling from the stage into the waters. I did not expect the boards to push her down deeper, nor did I expect her to get so close to Brother Aaron so discreetly. If not for Brother Aaron, she wouldn't mean a thing. So ultimately, all this was still for that scoundrel Ryan. Take a look at his background. When would his family ever agree to him being together with someone with such an unexceptional background? Kathy scoffed. If you want to deal with April, just tell me. I can pay a visit to the principal at Langford and she would be disposed of ever so simply. As for you, however, going through all this trouble, I just wanted to embarrass her in front of everyone. Marianne was vexed. You're too inexperienced. If you like him, your dad and I can simply speak with his parents to arrange a marriage for you. Marianne's eyes lit up. Then there's still a chance? Please help me out. Kathy was exasperated. You need to deal with this Scorpion Aaron immediately. Even though he's family, he has never had a care for your dad and me. He'll eventually inherit YCC Group. If you ruffle his feathers, how then will your dad and I have a future in the company? Yes, he doesn't have a shred of evidence, yet he is asking Herald Music to cancel my contract. Do you think he's serious? As Marianne finished her sentence, a call came in. She looked at the number on her phone with a sense of foreboding. Hello, Mrs. Hanson? Episode 124. You haven't recovered yet, so I need to take care of you at night. Marianne, what did you do? Just now, Mr. Roberts told me to drop the recording work of your album, and Mr. Roberts has decided to sign a contract with a girl named Winnie from your department. I also heard that he will release her first album before the end of this year. Apart from that, the advertisement says that the company prepared for you is all now hers. Marianne was stunned when hearing that. As soon as she realized what she had heard, she burst into screams and hung up the phone. Mom! Star Music and Culture is going to make Winnie popular. It must be because of April. She and Winnie are best friends. You should talk to Aunt Caitlin now. Ask her for help. If Winnie becomes a singer before me, how am I going to face my classmates? April is so mean. Does she really think she can become a member of the Bennett family? In her dreams. Kathy patted Marianne on her shoulder and said, Don't worry. I'll go visit your grandaunt now. Soon after the car started, Marianne's phone rang again. Seeing Rosaria's name on the screen, she frowned impatiently, wondering why Rosaria was calling her just now. However, as Rosaria was a popular actress, she still answered the call even though she didn't want to. Ms. Rosaria. Marianne, do you have time? Let's meet up. Marianne gave a bitter smile and said, Miss Rosaria, something happened at my home last night. You saw it. How can I? It's about April. Rosaria laughed with a deep voice and said, I was going to talk to you yesterday after the accident, but I didn't get a chance as you were busy dealing with the mess. Don't worry. It's going to be quite interesting. I'll tell you everything about April back in Lukesville. Marianne's heart missed a beat. She said, All right, I'll meet you right now. I'll meet you at Shelgin Cafe. At 4 p.m. in the Bennett mansion, April got out of the car. Sister Emily hurriedly came to carry up her things. It's been only a few days, but look how pallid you are. Thank you, Sister Emily. How's your grandson? April asked smilingly. I don't need to cook again, do I? Of course you don't. You're a patient. Sister Emily's chubby face blushed slightly as she threw Aaron a complaining glance. Aaron coughed slightly. She has figured everything out already. Why did she bring it up again? Walking into the villa, April still felt a little dizzy. She walked directly into the guest room to rest. Once in the room, she saw a small folding table beside the bed in the room. The folding bed looked very familiar. April recognized it as the bed that she used to sleep in last year when she was Aaron's carer. She turned to look at Aaron. He sat on the small bed, raised his eyebrows, and said, You haven't recovered yet, so I need to take care of you at night. April felt that she had somehow detected a shameless look in his face. I'm not as disabled as you were last year. I don't need your care. Go back to your own room, she said. No. Even though I want to sleep in my own room, the doctor said that you have a concussion, which means you may feel dizzy and get headaches. You see, yesterday you passed out during a kiss, so how can I let you sleep here alone? Aaron shook his head, eyes filled with a worried look. I just can't sleep comfortably alone, thinking about how you stayed up all night to look after me. Hearing him mention the kiss, April felt very annoyed, not to mention the fact that Sister Emily was right beside them. Through clenched teeth, she said, Thank you. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have passed out yesterday. If I let you sleep here, I might pass out even more frequently. What are you thinking, that I want to crawl into bed with you? I'm not so shameless. Aaron chided her with an earnest expression. You don't have to be shy. It's not like we haven't slept in the same room before. Slept in the same room? Sister Emily, who was standing aside, could not help but blush. April was utterly embarrassed. Somehow the innocent words Aaron uttered sounded so scandalous. Even if I needed someone to take care of me, I can ask Sister Emily. I don't need you around. Sister Emily's snoring at night is so loud you won't be able to sleep. Aaron turned to Sister Emily and asked, Am I right? Sister Emily momentarily felt exasperated. Her grandson was injured and now she had to bear a reputation of having loud snores. Yes, I snore. I've been snoring really loudly recently. Master Bennett always complains that he can hear my snores when he walks past my door. See, with such loud snores, I can never let you take care of her. Aaron nodded. Regardless of whether you agree, I must stay here to look after you. April was speechless. She quickly realized her mistake. She should not have agreed to come to Bennett Mansion to recover. This scoundrel had even learnt to put on an earnest and innocent appearance while going about his mischievous ways. The trouble was that you could not find fault with any of it, And if you did, he could even turn it against you for being unchaste. Just before dinner in the evening, Sylvia arrived at the villa hastily in her police uniform. "Really, you feeling better? I was planning to visit you in the hospital that day, but I've been investigating yesterday's incident." "Much better. It's not a serious injury." April's eyebrows twitched. "What have you uncovered?" "I've discovered that there is something suspicious about your accident." Sylvia took a sip of hot tea and said, "The planning committee gave me a blueprint of the event stage. I got a senior from the investigation department to take a look. He said that under normal circumstances, if there were 1 or 2 loose screws, the stage would not collapse in such a short period of time, unless the piece in the middle had completely not been screwed on securely." April felt a chill go down her spine. Could Marianne have invited her to host a party as part of a ploy? Maybe she deliberately let April fall into the water to embarrass herself. But they did not have any conflict on a daily basis and were even roommates for a year. Could Marianne have been so vicious? "If I may ask so presumptuously, Ro, did you and Marianne bear any grudge against each other? From what I see, you two are friends." Sylvia, too, found it hard to believe that Marianne would do something like that. April glanced at Aaron before speaking. "She likes Ryan Rodriguez, but Ryan doesn't seem to be interested in her. Ryan and I are friends." "I see. I noticed that day Ryan seems to fancy you." Sylvia felt Aaron's cold glare fall upon her. With a shiver, she added hurriedly, "Of course, Rail, you only have eyes for my brother. His charisma is truly incomparable." April was speechless. Such flattery. Aaron cleared his throat. "Pass all of your findings to my lawyer. I've decided to press charges for conspiring to murder. Of course, if the true culprit turns him or herself in, I will consider going less harshly on them." Sylvia was a little disturbed. If the investigations indeed revealed Marianne as the culprit, it would be troublesome. Then Grandma and Mum would also be dragged into the matter. "Sylvia, thanks for the hard work. Let me peel an orange for you. After all, April will not have much to say about this matter." Episode 125. That's uniform temptation. Great. Sister-in-law, you're so nice." Sylvia wanted to cry. "You know what? Earlier, my brother peeled fruits for you every day. I wanted to eat some, but he wouldn't let me. I spent time begging him, and only then did he give me some sour grapefruits." "Sister-in-law." April blushed and said, Don't call me that." "No can do. I finally have a sister-in-law who's nice to me. I'll call you that every day so you can never leave." Sylvia sighed sadly and continued, "The sisters-in-law in the TV series are all mean. They love to urge their husbands to take the possessions of their brothers and sisters, but thankfully, Rill's a good person." "What kind of TV series are you watching?" Corners of her mouth twitched slightly as she turned to look at Aaron. She hoped he would say something to his sister. To her surprise, Aaron took out his phone, nodded, and said, "Good. I'll give you some money via WeChat." "Thank you, brother." Sylvia held her face with both hands and happily sprung up from the couch. April was speechless. She was peeling an orange the whole time, but Sylvia got awarded. "Why? Why are you looking at me? I was going to give you money too, but you always refuse my kindness. You wouldn't even let me rent out a flat for you. You won't accept my money. I'll just not give you any, in case you need to return it to me," Aaron said, glancing at April. April turned back to continue to peel the orange, but inside she was crying silently. She would accept his money as long as he didn't make the amount too huge. "Mr. Bennett, I think you misunderstood me." Sylvia rolled her eyes and said to her brother, "You can give her small amounts of money like 520, 1,314. Those lovely numbers. My God. My sister-in-law, did you receive any red envelope of money from my brother before you became his girlfriend? Jeremy sends me red envelopes every Valentine's Day." "Jeremy?" April paused briefly, then smiled and asked, "Do you have a boyfriend?" "He's my fiancé," said Sylvia. Sylvia chuckled and hurriedly took out her phone to show April Jeremy Carter's photo, and then said, "His father and my father were friends in the army. We knew each other since we were little, so we got engaged when we were kids. He's really handsome. Look, he and my brother were army friends." April took a close look at the photo. The man in the photo was wearing a military uniform and saluting. He stood straight, looked handsome, cold, and proud. His skin was tan and his brows were as beautiful as his words, while his eyes were as bright as the stars. His face was perfect and manly shaped. "He's a really handsome man," April said, making a reasonable comment. "He looks way too good in his uniforms. That uniform is a straight-up temptation." "Yeah, I think he looks super hot in his uniform, too." Sylvia laughed and said, "I have other photos of him. Would you like to see?" "Sure." Seeing the two girls get closer and closer to each other, Aaron took away the peeled orange in April's hands with discontent. Brother, what are you doing? My sister-in-law peeled that for me, Sylvia said while she glared at him. Didn't I give you money? The orange is mine. Aaron tore off a large piece of the orange and put it into his mouth. April hadn't peeled him any fruit in a long time. The orange she peeled tasted as good as it always did. Sylvia got angry, feeling that her brother was so unreasonable. Stop looking at the photos. The meal is ready. You can just look at me. I'm much more handsome than him. Aaron dragged April up from the couch and walked toward the dining table. April said speechlessly, Really? Are you even jealous of Sylvia's fiancé? Aaron nodded and said, Yes, I am. You can't call any man handsome but me. April was speechless. Sylvia looked at April sympathetically. April must have reaped a significant amount of bad karma in her past lives to have been fancied by her brother. As April picked at her food melancholically at the dining table, she seemed to suddenly recall something. Oh yes, Sylvie, why don't you sleep with me tonight? Your brother worries for me after my injury. You can keep me company. Sure, I don't tend to go back anyways. It's too grueling. Sylvia nodded incessantly. No way, Aaron said as he laid down his chopsticks. Don't tell me she snores as well. April was tormented. She's working overtime tonight, Aaron said. Sylvia had a sense of foreboding. Who said? I said. Aaron whipped out his handphone. Let me give your officer a call. April was lost for words. Sylvia looked as if she were about to cry. She put away her food and grabbed his hand, begging, Enough, enough. Will it suffice if I don't sleep here tonight? I'm already dead beat from staying up late to investigate Rill's case last night. All right, then I won't make you work overtime. Aaron put down his handphone, satisfied. Don't see it as your elder brother threatening you. If you don't want to go back to work, you can sleep in your own room too. No, I'll go back. Sylvia waved her hands lethargically. She preferred not to be found guilty of being a third wheel and forced to work overtime. As April looked on, she felt immensely apologetic toward Sylvia. A short while after dinner, Sylvia left. April was upset at how overbearing Aaron was, and so she ignored him and went to take a shower. After her shower, she noticed that Aaron had not come into her room yet, so she began playing with her handphone. Shortly, she heard a knock at her door, followed by the sound of the door opening and footsteps. April deliberately looked down and continued playing with her handphone until a hand snatched it away. She looked up and was stunned. Standing before her was a statuesque figure dressed in a green army uniform with glistening hair combed neatly to the sides. He wore an almost perfectly handsome face with chiseled features. Compared to his usual look in his business suit, this was a far more awe-inspiring sight. The corners of Aaron's lips were raised elegantly. Looking at April staring at him, awestruck and nearly salivating, he felt a little helpless. He knew that in the past, many female soldiers had been instantly infatuated at the sight of him in his military uniform, but April was simply spellbound. Why are you dressed like this? April had some difficulty finding her voice again. Although he was certainly handsome and made her heart flutter, he was now discharged from the army, and it was strange for him to put on his uniform in the middle of the night. I was tidying my wardrobe just now and chanced upon my uniform from years ago, so I decided to try it on. I didn't think it would fit, but it appears that after all these years after being discharged, my figure remains as perfect as ever. Aaron sat down at the side of the bed, staring deeply into her eyes without a hint of emotion on his face. Why would someone tidy his wardrobe for no apparent reason? Did he think that she was an idiot? April coughed. I remember talking to Sylvia about her boyfriend in his military uniform before dinner. Don't tell me that you put on your uniform just because of that. How can that be? Am I that kind of guy? Aaron casually raised his eyebrows. April remained at a loss for words. You are. You are. A cacophony of voices reverberated in her head. Normally wearing my business suit already makes me a lady killer. It was just that Sylvia was there showing off her boyfriend, so I did not say anything, Aaron remarked nonchalantly. Episode 126. Who allowed you to come onto my bed? When I was a soldier, the girls in the army couldn't even see Jeremy. He was noticed after I left, said Aaron. April didn't know how to respond. If Aaron's face wasn't impeccably handsome, she would certainly vomit. She suddenly felt that he was actually restraining his narcissism before, and now he had stopped doing it. April smiled coldly and said, Yeah, I guess you were happy with many girlfriends back in the army. How can that be possible? The army is very strict, and in fact there weren't many girls there. Sensing the tense atmosphere, Aaron hurriedly dragged April into his arms, lowered his head to kiss her lips hard, and then said, Those girls weren't as pretty as you are. They were just ugly. April raised her head to look at his straight nose and sexy lips. Maybe it was because he was wearing the military uniform, but she felt that he was especially charming. His Adam's apple was partially hiding in his uniform, radiating a manliness that made her face blush and her heart race. In fact, she meant what she said to Sylvia earlier. Some men like women in uniforms, and some women liked men in uniforms as well, especially the serious-looking military uniforms. She now had an impulse to unbutton his clothes. But of course she couldn't let Aaron know about these thoughts, or he would get too proud. "But I remember that last night you said that Richard has poor taste." April gave a fake smile. She remembered it clearly, and she wasn't happy about it. "I said that on purpose. I wanted to attract your attention." Aaron gave a wicked smile. April gave up. Aaron could always find excuses. "Are you still dizzy? I want to kiss you." "Don't forget to breathe," he said. As April was staring straight at him, he started to sense heat inside his chest. "I don't know how. Don't kiss me." April pushed him away and turned back. She still felt ashamed for what had happened earlier. "I'll teach you." Aaron pressed her down and tried to kiss her lips. She wouldn't let him touch her lips, so he kissed her ears. Soon afterwards, he found that every time he kissed her ear, she would quiver. Instantly, he held her earlobe in his mouth and wouldn't let it go, as if he had discovered a new land. "That's enough." April felt she was taking a bath in a hot spring because her entire body was limp and hot. Aaron didn't listen to her, but kept kissing her ears. His lips slowly reached her neck. April couldn't help but let out a soft moan. With a crimson blush, she then turned to pinch him, saying, "Who allowed you to come into my bed? Aren't you here to take care of me? If you do it again, I won't let you be here tomorrow." "Apricot, your voice is so beautiful. I'm so looking forward to the day we finally melt into one," he said. After saying that, he silently climbed onto the small bed and then lied on one side and rested his head on a hand, looking at her. April covered her face with the blanket. She felt like going crazy. How could he say that? Who wants to melt into one with him? She felt really shy. She waited for a little, but she didn't hear any noise, so she lifted the blanket and asked him, "Aren't you going to go to the bathroom this time?" "No, I'll just look at you." Aaron gazed at her and said. Hearing that, April started imagining things. She felt that her mind was turned dirty by him. What is he thinking about while looking at me? With these thoughts, April's head became smoky. April diverted her gaze away from him and began texting in the group chat set up in her phone. Previously, for the purposes of rehearsing for a skit, 6 of them had created a group chat to keep in contact with each other. This time, she had to take 2 days off to recover from her injury, but she still had to keep in contact with them. "Who are you texting?" Aaron was displeased. "Is texting more important than being with me?" "I didn't attend school. I'm trying to catch up with the lessons which were taught today from my classmates." April lied. She was not willing to have an argument with him over the skit. "All right, then." Aaron did not pursue the matter. "Sleep earlier. The doctor told you not to keep using your handphone." April was indeed not feeling very well. She sent her last messages to the group chat and laid down on the bed. She looked over at Aaron curiously. "Aren't you going to change out of your uniform before you sleep?" Aaron pondered on this for a moment and took off his outer coat, revealing his camouflage t-shirt. He thought he might appear ever so slightly more dashing. "No need to change into my pajamas. It's too troublesome. This will do." April blinked, uncertain of what to say. "Oh, yes." "Don't climb into my bed tonight when you finally succumb to your fetishes for my uniform," Aaron instructed before he closed his eyes. April was speechless. Don't you want to cover yourself with a blanket?" "No need." If he covered himself with a blanket, how was she going to admire him in his uniformed look discreetly? How coy of her. April was having a headache, but she still sat up, grabbed one of the blankets by her side, and threw it over to him. "It's a cold night. Cover yourself or you'll catch a cold." "Apricot, you really care for me. I'm starting to like you more and more." Aaron opened his eyes and confessed suddenly, his gaze deep and enthralling. April's heart skipped a beat and she felt her face turn red. The mattresses in the dormitory and the hospital were hard and stiff, but the mattress in the villa must have been ridiculously expensive, for April felt as if she were resting among soft clouds of cotton. April slept until daylight. When she woke up, however, she found that she was once again in Aaron's embrace. In addition, he had his arms wrapped around her waist. She had secretly removed her bra last night before she went to bed, and now her bosom was pressed firmly against his chest. She was dumbfounded once again. Coming to her senses, she infuriatingly dragged Aaron awake. "Aaron, get up this instant." Aaron sat up groggily. His short and dark hair was slightly messy, and he wore a drowsy look on his face. Last night you squeezed into my bed at the hospital because you said that the sofa was too narrow. I'll let that one slide. Tonight, however, you still came over from your wide and spacious bed to sleep in mine. Isn't that a little too much? April was frustrated. How could she have trusted once again that he was not going to be mischievous at all? Aaron blinked a few times and looked around him before finally snapping awake. Yeah, how did I manage to end up in your bed? Oh, I know, it must have been that you succumbed to the sight of me in my uniform and carried me over to your bed. April was lost for words. You're strong. You used to carry me frequently. You must have done the same as well last night. Aaron maintained an innocent expression. April was so angered that they burst out laughing instead. Unable to control herself, she grabbed a pillow and started bashing Aaron's face with it. Climbing into my bed shameless is one thing. Accusing me instead is another. You're not allowed to come into my room tonight. Not fair. You don't have any good proof. Aaron frowned. I also have to posit that it was you who carried me over to your bed and took advantage of me without taking responsibility for it. You should go into acting. April stood up from the bed, infuriated. Episode 127. Are you going to give up on YCC for a woman? After getting off the bed, April felt a little strange. Then she lowered her head to find that she wasn't wearing a bra, but only a light yellow pajamas, and her breasts were partially exposed. She blushed once again, especially when she saw Aaron gaze straight at her chest. She stormed into the bathroom and slammed the door. At 9 o'clock in the morning, Sister Emily served breakfast and sensed a weird atmosphere in the dining room. April was slightly chewing a crab yolk bun while her man was tasting the coffee with a big smile and a very, very proud look. Richard came into the dining room, tail wagging. Seeing him, April's eyes glowed a little. She hurriedly held Richard's head and gave him a kiss and then fed him a large piece of ham. Good boy. You did me a big favor, she said. What did he do? Aaron unhappily dropped his eyebrows. He hadn't been held and kissed by her like that for quite a long time. April rolled her eyes and said, He scared Rosaria and made her fall into the water. I get it, he said, nodding. If I make Rosaria fall into the water every day, would you kiss and feed me every day? The corners of April's mouth twitched slightly. Really? Are you jealous of a dog? You didn't reject the offer, so it's a deal. Aaron crossed his arms and began thinking about how to make Rosaria suffer. Soon later, his phone rang. Seeing the word grandfather on the screen, he frowned, picked up the phone, and walked into the backyard. Grandpa, where are you? Make some time and come to my place, said Zachary Morrison. Why? You can't just talk to me on the phone. I'm busy today. Aaron sat on the lawn and glanced into the dining room through the French windows. Seeing April and Richard eating happily, he gave a faint smile unwittingly. You think I don't know that you're just staying with April Eisenberg? Asked Zachary angrily. Aaron's expression changed slightly, saying, Who told you that? Yesterday, Marianne and her mother didn't seem to know about April's real identity, so how did his grandfather find out? Did Isaac tell him that? That's not important. Who are you? How can you be with the daughter of a molester? What if some people with bad intentions tried to hurt you with this fact? Have you thought about the consequences? Zachary said angrily. As a leader of a company, don't you know how important your reputation is? If you care about that, I won't take over YCC. That's no big deal, and I'm fine with it, said Aaron blandly. I have Errington anyway. With my capabilities, I believe Errington will become just like YCC in less than 10 years. Zachary was so angry. Your mother is my only child, so who else would take over YCC but you? Sylvia is a police officer, and she doesn't like business. Are you really giving up on YCC for a woman? What's so good about her? Could a molester ever raise a decent girl, not to mention the fact that she was engaged to someone else before? It's not that I'm giving up on it, it's just that you don't want to give it to me anymore. I can do nothing about it. Aaron picked up a fallen leaf and said seriously, People aren't all the same. You see, my grandparents on my father's side have divorced. Will you and Grandma divorce too? You two are a sweet couple, aren't you? April is knowledgeable and well-educated. Please judge her after you get to know her. Her father molested a student. That's different from the divorce of your grandparents, said Zachary. She's a little vixen. You didn't want a relationship before, but now you're infatuated with her. You're right. She is a little vixen. Don't all men like little vixens? Aaron said matter-of-factly. Didn't you tell me that Grandma was like a little vixen back in the day? I understand now. I've inherited your preferences in women. The old man was choked with anger and said after a long pause, Anyway, I won't allow it. I simply won't allow it. I don't need your permission. I'm the one finding a wife. Aaron, he shouted angrily. Also, who ratted on me? Is it the Flanders family? Speaking of them, do you recognize that Marianne is your sister, right? How could you bar her from releasing her album? I can't believe you're grooming another artiste to bring her down. Your grandmother is furious at you. Zachary softened his voice and continued, Your grandaunt is your grandma's sister. You should know how protective your grandma is over her side of the family. Aaron chuckled and said, Tell Grandma to keep an eye on Marianne. What she did nearly killed someone. I'll find the evidence and send her to the police. Zachary was shocked. What did she do? Even if I tell you now, you won't believe me, especially when the Flanders family comes to you and Grandmother again. I can't be bothered to tell you. Aaron laughed coldly. That night, Auntie tried to introduce the daughter of an executive to me. Even when I'm not in YCC, I know the dynamics in the company. I know that executive has always maintained a close relationship with the Flanders family. They're trying to manipulate me. Aaron paused and continued firmly. I'm going to be with April no matter what. I won't be wavered or intimidated by any threats from you guys. All right, that's enough. I have to finish my breakfast with that little vixen now. I'll drop by to visit you and Grandma when I have time. If you still can't see where I'm coming from, you can go find another successor. You little brat. Beep, beep. Aaron ignored his grandfather's angry voice and hung up. He calmly kept his phone away and walked back to the dining room with a light heart. April had already finished her food. Is it your grandmother? Did they scold you? She asked worriedly. They've scolded me for many things in the past. It doesn't bother me. Aaron grinned and sipped his coffee. He's not happy now, but he's still going to pass down the company to me. None of his nephews are as clever or as capable as I am. Without me, his company would go bust within 20 years. Oh. She pitied his grandfather. No wonder he was always so mad at his grandson. But your grandma and your family would surely oppose our relationship, wouldn't they? Although I've only spoken briefly with your grandma at the party, I could tell that she values family background, and it would be a very important criteria for her. If they find out about my father... Have you thought about marrying me? If not, you don't have to concern yourself with these issues as of now. Aaron interrupted her. Even when that day comes and we have to seriously consider these issues, leave it to me. April was taken aback. He made perfect sense. What was the use of worrying now? Dating someone as narcissistic as him would mean that he would eliminate all opposing voices in the way of their relationship. I'm going to the company later. Marvin will pick you up in the afternoon, Aaron said mysteriously. Where are we going? It's a secret, he said as he went on to finish his breakfast. Episode 128. You poured a glass of wine on her face. In the morning, April spent some time alone in the villa watching TV. Before, in this villa, she needed to carefully take care of Aaron, but now she didn't need to do that anymore. That feeling was quite strange. At 11:30, Marvin drove to the villa to pick her up. On the road, she asked him about Winnie's contract. She signed the contract yesterday, Marvin smiled and said. When Mr. Roberts saw her, he wondered why he didn't know that there was such a capable and beautiful girl in Langford. He also said that Winnie's beauty is natural and flawless, and that making her a star will be much easier than making Marianne a star. After all, she's prettier and more professional than Marianne. Yeah, even I was shocked by Winnie's voice and appearance when I first met her. April nodded and said. Then she glanced at Marvin and continued, Sadly, she already has a boyfriend. Marvin dropped his eyelids and responded with, Doesn't matter. She'll become a popular singer sooner or later. Well, I'm just an assistant. She's too good for me. Don't say that, Mr. Marvin. You're a capable one among your peers. April quickly changed the topic as she felt a little sorry for Marvin. This isn't the way to Arrington. Where are we going? Well, you'll find out soon. Marvin didn't give an answer. 40 minutes later, when she arrived at the Great Ocean International Hotel, she froze. She had some awful memories about this place that she didn't want to recall. In this place, she was embarrassed and humiliated. Mr. Marvin, she said, get out of the car. Marvin came out of the car and opened the door for her. April stayed silent for a moment and then lowered her head and walked out. Marvin guided her upstairs by the elevator. When he stopped before the door of the familiar president's box, April figured it out. Get in. Marvin pushed the door open and walked in. In the president's box, Aaron and Richard were sitting on the couch. A rich meal was served on the round table. As she came in, Aaron gave a faint smile, waved his hands, and said, "Come here." April slowly walked to him with confusion. Once she got close to him, he grabbed her wrist and dragged her into his chest. "Aaron, what are you doing?" While asking the question, she turned to Richard. After all, he knew everything that had happened to her in this place. Richard smiled embarrassedly. "Mr. Bennet, it's really a surprise that you called us for lunch." A group of people walked in from the door. The ones at the front were Max Urban and his girlfriend, Stephanie Malone. The one that followed them was Graham. Seeing April, who was sitting inside Aaron's arms, all three of them paused slightly. "Mr. Bennet?" Max pointed at April and said, "Why are you with this woman?" "Richard, didn't you tell him that She's my girlfriend," Aaron said blandly. Max froze. Stephanie covered her mouth in shock, and Graham's face turned extremely dark. "Mr. Bennet, this isn't a decent woman." Realizing what he had just heard, Max hurriedly said, "She tried to hook up with Richard and Isaac." "She never tried to hook up with anyone, and she has never been with Richard." Aaron suddenly clenched April's hand and said, "That day right here, do you remember how you humiliated her? You poured a glass of wine on her face." Max's face instantly darkened. He finally understood that his meal was never meant to be friendly, but still, he wasn't willing to give up. "Richard, didn't you tell Mr. Bennet she'd seduced Isaac? She never tried to seduce anyone. Neither was she with Richard." "Richard, he didn't tell Mr. Bennet. She tried to seduce Isaac." Richard stood up and said apologetically, "Max, we fell into Isaac's trap that day. He thought I was dating April and called me over on purpose. He was trying to create misunderstandings between April and I because of his own intentions. He couldn't win her favor, so he resorted to such dirty moves." Max was dazed for a short while before cursing. "Fuck." He glared at Graham and said, "Did you know about this already?" Graham stuttered nervously. "I wasn't exactly sure." "Motherfucker, you were the closest to Isaac here." Max grabbed him by the collar and growled, "I don't even know him well, and you were our common friend. Weren't you his classmate? Isn't your girlfriend signed under him? You've gone out a couple of times with him, haven't you? How can you say that you don't know him well?" "Mr. Bennet, I can't possibly know everything about him, even if I am his classmate. Even if you don't know everything, you should know something at least." Aaron placed April's hand in his palm and started playing with her fingers. "Last year, December, when you introduced Isaac to Richard when he wanted to open a film and media base, you were still helping him look for a woman called April Eisenberg in Rosewood City." Graham shivered. "She's April Eisenberg?" "If she is truly April Eisenberg, then you should know about her background, Mr. Bennet." "I know about everything." Aaron stood up abruptly. He kicked and toppled the chair in front of them. The icy look on his face scared April. She realized that compared to all the tantrums and fits he used to throw at her, this was much worse and fiercer. Richard looked at Graham sympathetically. Even if no one else knew what Aaron was feeling, Richard had an inkling of his thoughts as his close brother. After hearing about April's past engagement with Isaac, he was fuming mad, but no matter how angry he was, he couldn't take out his anger on April. Because he was aware that April was a victim, he couldn't bear to hurt her further. Aaron was taking his anger out on Graham. "Mr. Bennet, I didn't manage to find her then." Graham's face was as pale as a sheet. Although he wasn't close to Aaron, he had heard about his military special forces background. A few years ago, when he hung out with Ji Chuan at the bar, Aaron had vanquished over 10 secret societies on his own. Even if Max teamed up with them, they still wouldn't be able to beat Aaron at a fight. No one would even dare to lay a finger on him, given his prestigious status. "You are right. You didn't find her then. What were you guys going to do with her if you did?" Aaron stalked towards them. "Graham, your family runs a down-to-earth business. How did you end up meeting someone like Isaac?" Graham stuttered and asked boldly, What kind of person is Isaac, may I ask?" "He relies on women to get to places. He's a scrum who bleeds them dry and then betrays them mercilessly." Aaron was getting more livid. He kicked Graham's knee forcefully. Graham let out a howl and knelt to the ground in pain. Max was breaking out in a cold sweat as he listened to the conversation. Stephanie was grabbing his elbow tightly in fear. She was trying hard to recall if she bullied April. Episode 129. Did Isaac see me with Aaron by the seaside? "Graham, be honest with me. Did Isaac ask you to host the mahjong party that day?" asked Richard. "Yeah." Graham gave a bitter smile. "I didn't know for sure at the time, but later on I found something was not quite right. Earlier, Isaac suddenly sent me a picture of a limited edition Bugatti Veyron and asked me whose car it is. I told him that it was Mr. Bennet's car, but no one saw Mr. Bennet driving it. And that it's you who's been driving the car, so I guess Isaac thought that Miss Eisenberg was dating Richard. April now understood what happened. Did Isaac see me when Aaron came to the seaside to pick me up? Why didn't you tell me earlier? You almost killed me. Max glared at Graham. Mr. Bennett, that day I thought Miss Eisenberg was cheating on Richard. Richard is like a brother of mine, so I was angry, and that's why I poured the wine, he added. That's true. Richard was pretty close to both of them, so he said, to be honest, he was fooled by Isaac. Yeah, I'll never talk to Isaac again, Max hurriedly continued. Those kind of sneaky people will get us killed sooner or later. Miss Eisenberg, what happened that day was totally my fault. Please, forgive me. April looked at Aaron. In fact, the one who hurt her the most that day was Isaac. Max only embarrassed her. Remember what you said? Aaron nodded, then turned and pointed at the row of glasses on the table which were filled with wine. However, you poured a glass of wine on my woman's face. If I let it go just like this, people will laugh at my woman. I won't give you any difficulty. Pour half of this glass on your face, and your woman must pour the rest on hers. While doing that, you need to say that you're nasty. Stephanie nearly collapsed. She put on delicate makeup on purpose today. Mr. Bennett, she said, I didn't say anything bad about Miss Eisenberg. Miss Eisenberg, she turned to April and said, please help me. I'm really innocent. Your mistake is that you signed a contract with Isaac's company. Aaron slightly narrowed his eyes, gave a cold smile, and said, one more word, I'll pour buckets over you. All right, we'll do it. Max angrily glanced at Stephanie. After that, Stephanie reluctantly picked up a glass of wine and poured it on her own face, and Max did the same. While showering themselves with wine, they said, nasty, I'm nasty. Watching this, April's mouth corners twitched slightly. She still felt quite angry when thinking of Max's rich people arrogance, so now she was rather delighted. Showering in wine, Stephanie's face became colorful. That day, Stephanie didn't say any bad words about April, but she enjoyed the show. Aaron glanced at Stephanie and then said to Max with dislike, I haven't seen you in a while. Richard told me that you were dating an internet star, but today I found that you're actually dating a pallet. Hearing that, the poor Max suffered an even deeper harm. Stephanie even wanted to cry. Graham, I'll ask you one question. Aaron turned to Graham and said, will you talk to Isaac again? Mr. Bennett, I've known him since high school. All right, off you go. I won't do anything to you today, but don't let me see you again. But Richard, Max, I don't want to see you with Isaac again, said Aaron blandly. Max heaved a sigh of relief, suddenly feeling fortunate that he had poured that glass of wine upon himself. Had he not done so, the consequences would have been more severe. In Rosewood City, once Aaron gave the order to cut ties with you, it would be impossible to survive. As long as one did not get on his bad side, he would take care of you like a brother. He wasn't a bad guy. Graham's face was an ashen gray. His lips trembled as he laughed bitterly. Mr. Bennett, Isaac has helped me many times before. I cannot possibly betray a friend like him. He has reasons for his actions. I heard that he's only doing this to the Eisenberg family to give them a taste of their own medicine. What's that mean? April inquired. I'm not too sure, Graham explained, but I think your father was involved in the death of Isaac's father. Bullshit! My father is an honorable man. April clenched her fists in anger. Would a parent tell his children about everything he's done? A parent would always want to maintain a perfect image. Graham sighed. April was lost for words. For a split second, she started to doubt her father, but she immediately erased the doubts from her mind. Other people could doubt her father, but she could not as a daughter. It was just that she did not even know the truth the day her father was arrested. It looked like she had to make a trip to the prison to ask him some questions. In that case, was it all part of the plan from the start when Isaac got close to me? April asked softly. It seems to be that way, Graham said as tactfully as he could. April was dazed. Although it was in the past, he had still been her first love, the first person she had ever liked so much. It had all been an act, put up by someone she had once loved dearly. She was the only one who didn't know that she had been part of the show. But I think he did eventually grow to like you too. He was just too consumed by vengeance. Shut up! Aaron stopped him. Get lost! All right, Mr. Bennett, rest assured I will never interfere in matters regarding Isaac again. Graham pulled himself to his feet with a gaze like that of a wolf before limping away. In the private room, Max and the others saw that Aaron was in a bad mood and did not dare to make too much noise. They cursed at Graham silently in their hearts for bringing up the matter of Isaac falling for April. He should have known that it was Aaron's peeve. Mr. Bennett, it's suddenly come to mind that I have some things to settle at work. I'll make a move first. Max lifted Stephanie to her feet and they began to leave. Hey, wait for me. I have some things to discuss with you. Richard followed closely behind him. Suddenly, the private room fell quiet. Only 2 of them remained. Why did you do that? You scared everyone away. April mustered what energy she could and shot him a blaming glance. She sat down, saying, How fragrant. This dish looks really tasty. Aaron did not move a muscle. He just stared at her coldly. April felt the hairs on her skin rise. She picked up a piece of beef with her chopsticks and brought it to his mouth. I'm not eating. Aaron lowered his gaze, glaring at her. April, tell me truthfully. You haven't forgotten Isaac, have you? Of course not. He's my nemesis. I don't mean it that way. I'm asking if you still like him. For some reason, ever since he found out that she was engaged to Isaac before, there had been a gnawing feeling deep in a corner of his chest. He always thought that he was the first man she loved. Not so, apparently. He wanted to grab hold of the man she had once loved and beat him up after cutting his hands off. Who was Isaac to compare with him? Episode 130. The Grumpy Aaron. I don't like him anymore, she said. Then why did you look sad when Graham said that Isaac had a scheme in mind when he got close to you? Aaron asked impatiently. Of course I felt sad. Once she said that, she found the angry look in his eyes got worse than before, so she hurriedly explained, After all, I used to love him. I don't like him anymore, but I have given him my love before. Now that I learned that I had fallen into a trap, I just feel that I was so stupid. You don't need to tell me that. I already know that you're stupid. Aaron's pupils shrank as he said that through clenched teeth. But what did you say just now? You loved him? I've never heard you say that you love me. Do you mean you used to love him more than you do me now? Like I said, that's in the past. April speechlessly found that Aaron was even more envious than she thought he was. I don't care. You never said that you have ever liked or loved me. Aaron was so angry that he growled. But you said that you used to love him right in front of me. What should you do? Yeah, what should I do? April blinked, eyes filled with curiosity. Aaron looked at her grumpily, finding that she didn't only have poor taste, but was quite silly. I'll forgive you if you tell me that you love me very much every single day. If she didn't mention Isaac, a simple, I like you would do. And now it must be, I love you very much? What if I refuse? She asked. Then think about the consequences, he threatened her. So scary. Oh, look at the grumpy Aaron. April felt like laughing. He was so cute even when he was jealous of someone. I tried. April stopped herself from laughing out loud and said, but I can't think of any consequences. She made fun of him because she wanted to punish him for getting into her bed sneakily and blaming her for that last night. Aaron's face darkened immediately. He stared at her silently for a while and then turned and walked away. All right, don't be angry. I love you. I love you the most. April hurriedly hugged him from behind and pressed her face against his back. Aaron turned around and pushed her away. His look remained icy and cold as he said, Why do I feel that you don't mean it? It's not sacred and solemn at all. Sacred and solemn? You think this is a church wedding? Speechlessly, she looked him in the eyes. Thinking of the 3 words, she suddenly blushed. Just now, he had his back to her, so she didn't feel shy, but now as he was staring at her, she felt different. It's not fair. You never said that you liked me or loved me either, she said. There is no fairness in the world. You have me, who's perfect, so you should cherish what you have, he said. And not only do you have to say that you love me every day, but you must also kiss me once a day. April rolled her eyes. Shouldn't he hold her and say that he loved her right now? Never mind. I'll take what you said just now. However, you haven't kissed me. Now, he ordered proudly. April was extremely speechless, however, as he had taught Max and Stephanie a lesson for her today. She didn't plan to argue with him. She stood on her tiptoes to kiss him. She was only going to peck his lips, but he pressed a hand against the back of her head and quickly turned it into a deep kiss. However, he was rather gentle this time, probably because he still remembered how she passed out during kissing the last time. April was not used to this. Previously, their kisses had been in flurries of passion. This once, however, was as gentle as a drizzle. Every breath, every moment of entwinement was refined and distinct. Not wanting their kiss to last too long, their lips parted. Aaron looked down at the moist lips he had just kissed. Exceedingly satisfied, he carried her and placed her down on her chair. All right, you put on a good show. Let's eat. Right, didn't you want to feed me just now? You can continue. April. You wish. April picked up the piece of beef and brought it to his lips again. Just as he opened his mouth, she yanked her chopsticks away and gobbled up the piece of beef. "If you tried this again," Aaron scowled momentarily. Without hesitation, he leaped across to plant his lips firmly on April's and wrestled the morsel of food away from her mouth. April was stunned. Only when the piece of beef had been wrestled away did she come to her senses. She felt her face turn red and said, "You're disgusting." "What's disgusting? It's not like you haven't had my saliva before." Aaron's lips curled. "Let's see if you dare try that again." "You're good," April admitted defeat. "Feed me," Aaron demanded. "It's not like you don't have hands." "I do, but my psyche was hurt earlier. If you don't feed me, I'll just have to resort to the technique I used just now," Aaron said excitedly. April clenched her teeth. She knew he was not lying, so she started feeding him while eating at the same time. Momentarily, she protested. "Do you think it's worth it? To be envious of someone like Isaac? Furthermore, you're always full of confidence. What's with you today?" "Yes, I never thought I'd be envious of someone else in my whole life." Aaron thought over this carefully before answering. "I guess you've changed my outlook when I found out that you had fallen in love with a scumbag like Isaac before." "Huh." April did not feel too good. "How did I change your outlook?" "With such poor taste. You basically rank last amongst all women," Aaron stated nonchalantly. "What a waste of your pretty face. Women like you don't think like normal women. I wouldn't be surprised if you developed feelings for someone of lesser caliber than me." April nodded. The whole point was that her taste was too poor for a normal person to describe. Forget it. She decided not to ask any further and continued eating in silence. 5 minutes later, footsteps were heard approaching the door. They thought it was a waiter, but turning around they realized that it was Richard who had returned after all. "Yo, I was worried Rill would be bullied by Lil Benny, so I decided to come back. Looks like my worries were unfounded. You guys are feeding each other." A curious smile crept across his face. Aaron threw him a look of disdain. "Apricot was worried that I was unhappy and decided to feed me. I told her that there was no need, but she insisted." April just stared blankly. What did he say? She must have gone deaf and heard him wrongly. "I see. Since you both are not quarreling, I'll have some food before I leave. After all, the dishes look really good." Richard sauntered over to an empty seat. Just as he sat down, he felt the cold glare of his good friend from across the table. "You don't have to be like that. If not for me, your Rill would have been long tortured gruesomely by Isaac already. Also, it's because of me that she found out that she was being bullied. Indeed, I must thank Richard properly." April stood up and served Richard a bowl of rice. "I owe you my thanks for your help with the web series previously."